1:15 will go.
Okay. Hope you enjoyed the music.
Excuse me.
I still don't know what it is.
Snafu. Situation normal. All fouled up. This is Snafu.
All right, welcome to another episode of Snafu. I'm your host, Rick. Tonight with me is Dale. Say hi. Oh,
hey.
It sounds like he's drinking.
Yeah, I got a nice moose head here. So
Moosehead, all right. Beer?
It's Radler. It's a grapefruit.
Okay, all right, okay. And Pat? Oh,
Hey, how's it going?
Was that Pat drinking Mountain Dew?
Yeah, sorry.
Mountain Dew mixer?
Actually, Coke Zero Sugar tonight.
Okay, all right. And then
Mixing it up.
Mixing it with something too?
Not yet. We'll see how this first part of the episode goes.
Yeah, fair. see how tangenty we get. The more we tangent, the more you drink.
Yes, because it's the only way I can deal with you guys.
Yeah, fair. Oh, thanks.
And probably the only way you can deal with me, too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm actually not drinking yet tonight. I might actually fall asleep if I did. So, and then Jeff has bowed out for the evening because we have some technical stuff. And with us tonight is Marc, a.k.a. Dewey Cat. That's the only other one I know of. That's the only other known as, right?
That's a
Yes,
superhero
it
name.
is. Yes.
I know we have a couple people that have like a whole bunch of names, and I'm like, I can't keep you guys straight. But you're just Dewey Cat.
Well, that's my online name. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct. Yes.
So, Marc, why don't you tell us a
Terror,
little...
that prince in the night.
all the time. Yeah, why don't you give us a quick rundown of why, who you are and what you do, and why we'll get into the whole details as to why we've invited you to join us today.
Let's not diverge too quick. We'll bring Mark in, but let's bring him in at the end of the hobby update because I've got some good hobby updates that I'm rocking out here, and it's finally getting into bolt action. So let's
Don't want to lose cred for that.
Let's do our hobby updates, and then we'll do a last hobby update, and we'll actually introduce Mark and why we've asked him to join us tonight. And we can start diving into that exciting bit. So
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you do that and pick it up at 11:15, Rick?
Okay. So let's talk about hobby stuff. Dale, since you seemingly have something to talk about here,
I do.
I know I don't. So why don't you give us an update?
I will. So after Operation Snafu, and seeing everybody play and the awesome tables that Jeff and Pat put together and all of the shenanigans that happened.
And Jeff, thanks you.
I'm like, man, I haven't done anything in a really long time. And so I started like hobbying, and I wanted to do at least something every single day. If it wasn't active hobby, then at least like reading, some books or whatever. Anyways, and so I set out 3 projects that I wanted to work through this year. And I completed the first one last weekend where I finished up this 40K project that I'm working on. So that's done and dusted, and that's kind of aside now, which is nice. And I've began the next bit, which I'm especially excited about, which is going to be a Winter Soviet Army for bolt action for the Bug Eater tournament. At least that's the goal. And Bug Eater, he likes like historical themed lists, and so
you actually get like points for that kind of stuff. And another hint that he actually likes seeing write-up, like I know they used to do for Operation Sting and stuff like that. None of your opponents care, but, I'm just saying I wrote one up and I took by 1 point in the soft scores I won, so I'm saying every little bit, right?
Sure, yeah, you grab the points where you can find them. And so my kids for Christmas got me most of that Pavlov's House MDF kit from Things from the Basement. And
That's
I've been kind of doing,
kit, by the way.
I think it's huge.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research kind of around that incident, and so I've put together a list that I think accurately kind of, falls in with that particular garrison. I mean, there's no Molotov launchers and there's no gas truck.
And I'm a little like I've been following you like talking about this, and I was like, Why did he buy all that stuff off of me and like not going to use any of it?
I'm gonna end up using the Scout squads.
Okay.
So both the Scout squads, and that ended up being
it.
But
like, literally sold you like 1,000-point arm. Well, no, you use the infantry too, I suppose. No, you won't because you're using winter infantry. So
I already picked up 2 boxes of winter infantry. In any event,
no take backsies.
That will be and
all sales will be final.
That's not where this is going. But and I've picked up a ton of basing kits and things like that. So I've just started to lay out the bases now and start working on that stuff. And so cat's out of the bag. I'll probably start showing pictures of stuff as it comes together. So I'm back into bolt action, baby. So I'm excited.
He's back. All right, the Dale's back, and you're going to be in trouble.
And I'm curious how many models.
It's my party, and I'll cry if I want to.
How many models were painted between your last bolt action army and this army? Like 20?
Oh, you mean the 40K guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 20 guys there.
They're beautiful, by the way. So I'm glad they're done finally.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So, all right, Pat, do you have anything? What have you been working on?
I have been literally assembling a DAC force for Adepticon, and hopefully Jeff will be able to get his DAC force together, or actually just have it arrive to his house. Would be nice.
Well, Jeff can turn an army around in record time. So.
Right, yeah, I wouldn't be worried about him getting it done.
Well, and, it's no problem, because he may, if push comes to shove, he may just run an armored platoon with 2 2-2s. So
there you go.
And that wouldn't be too terribly awful either, have 5 of those running around. And
are those the ones he's talking about putting the Nebelwerfers on?
Well, now, keep in mind, this is 42. So we're doing 42 DAC Historic for the team tournament at Adepticon. So we're playing by rules, and we're playing the whole tournament is kind of out of Western Desert. So a couple nights ago, I got done putting together the absolute worst model kit I have ever run into in my entire life, and I'm still peeling glue off my fingers.
Ooh.
It was the DAC
Worse than
MMG
the Casket
team.
Of Souls from GW?
Well, that's long enough ago to forget. But, actually, I had a pewter one, so that one wasn't so bad. That was just heavy.
Okay. The Casket of Souls? It was the Skull Catapult.
Oh, no, the Skull Catapult.
Skull Catapult, yes. That was
atrocious.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, this one is the most recent history is terrible. I mean, it didn't fold the way it was supposed to in the picture, and a part snapped, and then I couldn't glue it back on, and then the gun wouldn't stay put, and I eventually just, glopped just a ton of glue on it and just let it sit there.
And just melted the shit out of it to get it to go.
Just glue stuffed it and left a couple of flakes on there too. God, that was terrible.
Maybe a few field repairs on that one then.
Well, I ended up actually making shift a little piece of cork that I'll have to paint into a rock because the front leg of the MMG kind of broke off and I couldn't get it back together. So,
the creative
against the rock.
Yeah, creative disguise, great. Yeah, perfect.
Right, you got to do what you got to do with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's where the tall grass goes too. Like I find the one bush of
the
desert
one
grass.
Tumbleweed.
Yep,
it's out in the desert. The only one landed right in front of us. Whew.
It's like it's cover, right?
So the only thing I have left to put together for that is my 222, which is looks like a really fun, challenging kit to put together.
Nice.
So it's Rubicon, so
good kits.
Those are always really, really good kits.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing bolt action wise. There's been some other non-bolt action events occurring around the hobby table and training. So,
which all look
but that's
good,
allowed.
Yeah, no, totally.
It is.
So, Rick, anything out of you?
Nothing bolt action related. I'm still waiting on an order to come in from like the Black Friday stuff. So no, not particularly much of anything. Clean my hobby desk. That's about as good as I get. And that's actually a big step for me. Is that you get that pile of crap everywhere, and then you're like, I got to declutter this, so I can get back to work and get my queue set back up. But no,
what about hobby anticipation? What's going to be the thing you're going to be working on when you get to it?
Well, I'm working. I've built a list for Romanians. So just like Dale is doing a winter Soviet list, I'm doing a winter Romanian list, which will actually be interesting because yours is too early. Because I'm basing mine off of I can't remember the name of the battle, where the Romanians are trying to save the Germans that are being surrounded on the Eastern Front. I think it's called the Winter Storm. I can't remember the name of the battle. It doesn't matter. But basically, the Romanians are trying to break through the line to save the Germans that were surrounded. I can't remember which army it was even. But yeah, it was. It's interesting to read about because the Romanians did do a lot more of, like we're doing some of the heavy lifting for Germany even. And
they just never made the movies.
Right. They just never. Yeah. They didn't make the history books. But
I was going to say I wasn't aware of this at all. So
yeah, the Romanians put a fair number of men on the field. Like they had some pretty heavy, significant casualties during the war. So unfortunately, nobody makes Romanian models that are worth mentioning. So I'm actually buying Germans, and I bought 3D printed Romanian helmets in scale that I have to go and chop the heads off of, the top of the heads off of a bunch of dudes and
cheerful
convert everybody. So it's going to be an interesting endeavor once it all gets here. But so yeah, I've got that, and I got other non bolt action related stuff on the table, but nothing has been significantly painted recently.
All right.
I don't know. Well, the only other thing is I broke down every airbrush and cleaned every airbrush, top to bottom, which never happens in my house. So.
Straighten all those needles?
Yeah, I can't really straighten the needles. Well, the ones that were not worth keeping anymore, I chalked and just the deep clean on all the parts and all that stuff. So
I have to do that.
It's not the most boring, tedious job in the world, but it is definitely I ran paint through one of them and I'm like, holy crap, it makes a huge difference. Just over time you've built up some stuff in there, and
you don't do that very often. I do that probably at least every 3 weeks for sure.
Like full breakdowns? No, I don't.
Completely disassemble it.
Well, yes, but I don't do a deep soak and do actual scrubs and run needle cleaners through there and stuff. I don't do any of that stuff typically. I'm of the mind do it. If you do it every once in a while, you're fine, but you don't need to do it every time.
You probably don't get your oil changed very frequently either, do you?
Just when my car tells me to. My cars tell me to do it. So
I clean my brush when it starts to get too difficult to paint through reliably. Then I have to clean it. So.
Yeah. I'll give it the quick over every night, but I won't go into that far of detail. I don't. 3 weeks. It's months, if not more. So anyway, so that's our hobby update. I don't have anything else to speak of, so to speak, but. On the vein of hobbying, we actually have with us Mark. Say hi, Mark.
Hello.
Sorry about making you wait through all of that.
No problem.
Mark is also to the podcast. He knows what it's all about.
Yeah, so it's he's inside the episode. Yeah,
the inside looking out and reconsidering his option of saying yes.
Yeah, he's like, oh man, what did I do?
These guys talk.
This is what we get paid for, right? Not really.
Paid?
Yeah, well, marginally. But that's okay, because this is still for fun. Anyway, Mark, a.k.a. Dewey Cat, is with us because we decided to talk about 3D printers tonight. We've, I guess we as in Pat has actually bought a 3D printer and started going down this deep rabbit hole. There's a little more
leading into just why we picked Mark in particular over somebody else who does 3D printing.
That's fair.
I've used a fair number of Mark's actual models in doing the 3D printing. I've used some of the scenarios that he's actually thrown up on our Facebook stuff. So, I just kind of wanted to get a chance to say thanks for doing that. You saved that first model I had with the 88 and redid that whole model for me, which is great. It looked awesome on the table that Jeff was able to use them. So... That's why I consider you the expert, and you know what? If we want to talk about 3D printing, we need to make sure we get Mark on.
Yeah, no, totally.
Well, you've got a low threshold for the term expert, then.
Well, some people call us experts, so it's the same term that we have here. So,
right.
So it's one of these things where I think we're all, even most of the folks who listen, are aware of 3D printing and kind of the aspects and how they may kind of fold into our hobby in general. Some may have even actually purchased various 3D printed objects, and there's just a general curiosity and stuff like that, to the point where Pat's already kind of gone in. I know that Jeff is looking and interested, and so we thought this might be a fantastic time to bring you online to talk about kind of your journey from how you started, and first of all what you're working on and how that works with bolt action, where you started, what you found is working, can just answer all the questions that we're going to have for you. So
thank you. Sure.
So, do you? Well, to start with, do you play Bolt Action?
Yes, I do. It's actually the only game I do play.
Outstanding! What armies do you collect?
I'm big Soviet and British, and I'm actually just painting up my first American. But I have a large Russian army and then also British. But American, I'm going to be playing my first game with them next week.
Okay,
sweet. I do want to just mention, I like how you asked that question of armies, because you're just like, nobody has just one.
They're like Lay's potato chips.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
And I do have a Polish one in queue, but I haven't been
go.
able to start that yet. But that's going to be good too.
All right, so
countless other ones you want to get to.
Yes.
Right.
How long have you been involved with Bolt Action or miniature gaming in general?
Well, it's this is where I'm going to date myself, because I wargamed when I was a teenager, and that was back in the basically the prehistoric age.
There, Mark.
I'm old, yeah. So
you're fading out. Hang on.
Yeah, I was retiring at the end of 2016, and my occupation was fairly active, and so I needed something to keep my mind going when I retired, and I thought I'd take a stab at gaming again. And when I read up on it, I was looking at Flames of War and then Bolt Action, but Bolt Action seemed to have a more vibrant community. And so I jumped in before I even knew who I was going to play, and I basically poked around game stores and asked if they knew anyone was playing, and I just sent emails out to different groups, and I ended up tying up with a good group locally. We've actually established a fairly sizable group here locally.
Nice.
But
where do you play?
It's Eastern Ontario, which is so we're basically Kingston, Belleville, Trenton area, which means we probably need nothing to do. It's along the shore of Lake Ontario, and it's about a 2-hour driving range between all of us, but it's worthwhile, and it's an excellent group we have here. We have a group called the D6 Dodgers, and that's a play on the words of the D-Day Dodgers, which is the term that was given to a local regiment because they fought in Italy in World War II, and they were called the D-Day Dodgers, so we took the title the D6 Dodgers.
Okay.
Awesome.
And that's the Hastings Prince Edward Regiment, but HCPs. But so anyways, I got into them. So I started playing. I played my first game in December of 2016.
Okay.
And I was, stumbling along, not really knowing what I was doing.
That's right in line with when we kind of started playing, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah. And I'm very much interested in the more quirky vehicles, not just the your standard run of the mill T-34s, whatever. I like the sort of like the more unusual ones, the historic, but they're still unusual. So I was buying some stuff off of Shapeways, and Shapeways has a lot, but it's a different 3D process, and without getting into it, the vehicles are extremely light, and they're also expensive. And so I bought a few from them, and like I got the Su-76I, which is the Soviet assault gun that was built on the Panzer III and stuff like that. It was... by the time we paid the exchange and the rest, it was fairly steep, and I was looking at 3D printing, and again, I knew absolutely nothing about it. And I bought my, actually it was almost a year ago, it was on January the 9th, 2017, that I got my printer was delivered. And
happy printing anniversary.
Happy printing, yes, yeah, gosh, it's been
okay, so...
I guess it's paper anniversary, and so I basically I just stumbled into it and started plugging away.
So was it a year ago? Was it 2018 or 2017?
No, it was 2017. Oh, 2 years ago. I'm sorry, 2018. Yeah, I'm sorry, 2018. 2018. And I'm sorry.
No worries. Math is
tough. It's late for me, I know, yeah.
Yeah, it's totally.
So Pat would know this, is I was looking for files, and Thingiverse is who people aren't familiar with it.
Well, so, hang on, because now I'm a complete and absolute noob with the 3D printing and things like that.
Okay.
So
Voodoo,
you know,
basically, is what it is.
A year ago, right? So a year ago, you picked up your first 3D printer without necessarily. I'm sure you did some research, but without any real experience. Were you an engineer prior to that, or did you work with electronics and stuff? No.
Oh, okay. Absolutely no. No, I'm completely challenged with anything technology related.
Okay, so you've got your 3D printer. What would you need files for exactly? Can't you just plug something in and out comes what you want?
Well, you need the file to produce the end product. So it essentially something that you convert into a code that the machine will then know what to print.
Okay.
And so that someone creates that. And so basically it's your data, if you will. It's the data to know where to lay down what you need to create that object.
Okay.
When you want to create a flower vase or a wall hanging.
Thankfully, computers are very patient about doing that stuff.
Yeah, and so.
All right. Okay.
And
so
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the basics then. Okay. So, you know, if you could break it down in regards to, based off of your experience now, what went into actually selecting the 3D printer that you chose, and would you make the same choice now with the experience? As far as if I'm a brand new hobbyist interested in this aspect of where you're at, what would you recommend?
Well, that's an excellent question, and again, it's up to each individual, and each individual has their own, what amount they have available to spend. I would say is basically what I looked at was let's go back to there's two basic type of printers you can get for home use. The most common one, the type that I have, that Pat has is called a filament printer or an FDM printer, and there's also becoming more common is called a SLA or a resin printer. Resin printers do amazing, finely detailed stuff, but you're working with resin, and resin is messy. It's potentially toxic. It's very smelly,
stinky,
and stinky. Yeah, and it's
very
got a lot
stinky,
and it's not very forgiving. There's not much. I mean, you can screw up a print, but if it goes bad, it's just a bad print. If you screw up with the resin, you can end up with the resin, and you've got to wear gloves and masks and eye protection and the rest, and you're working with it. So it's
maybe not the best choice for an amateur 3D printing hobbyist. Okay.
I know people have got that as their first printer. I would not recommend it, and I'm saying that. I mean, to each his own, but I wouldn't.
Sure.
So I limit yourself to a filament printer.
Stick with the non-toxic stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and even the filament is you want the PLA and not the other stuff, which also does. Yeah, that stuff smells really bad too.
Yeah. So
which is not anti-lock brake system, by the way.
That's right.
It's a different plastic thing.
What I went with is, and again, because I am challenged in any technological sense, and I was born with 10 thumbs, I didn't go for build your own. Now, a lot of people will say build your own, you understand it better, but what I bought was a Prusa, and Prusa is made in the Czech Republic, and I'm not trying to make any comments on nations or whatever, but I felt much more comfortable buying something built in the Czech Republic than built in Asia, and just because the sourcing is all open source. He's got an excellent reputation. It's got a really good support, so that if you had any issues, you can contact them. They get back to you. They follow up. They respect their warranties. It's a bit of a pig in the poke if you're buying overseas, and again, people can consider that maybe inappropriate to say, but that's my experience. I'm thinking if you're jumping in and you're going to spend the money, then I think it's best to spend and minimize your chances of things going for a dump. So I got a Prusa and I got it assembled. The reason I got it for assembled, not only because I'm a klutz, is because I read online people were saying, like, there's people who are literally engineers saying, I put mine together in 10 hours, and other people saying, I put mine together in 40 hours. And the difference between getting a kit and assembled, for me as a Canadian, and it'd be less for you guys, was $250, and I'm thinking, 40 hours for $250, I'm worth more than that.
Sure.
So I got it assembled, ordered it assembled.
I don't change my own oil either, so yeah.
I'm
at the point of something is done, I can pay someone to do it. Thank you. I'll just, yeah.
So as far as what to get, and again, I mean, it's a matter of what you're comfortable with, what you think you can afford, and the rest. But I have no regrets with the Prusa, and I probably printed. I've been to thousands of hours now with that I've run it. I've only had to replace the nozzle twice, and what they call the PEI sheet, which is a sheet that goes on the bed that everything's printed on, because that gets all dinged up. Okay. Those are the only two things I've had to replace in a year, and it's been just incredible. You things go wrong, they always do, and you get things where nozzles get jammed, or you got a print go bad, but that just happens. It happens to everyone, no matter what printer you have. But
I don't recommend running it empty for more than an hour. That was the death of mine, as near as I can tell.
Oh, really? Oh, jeez.
Yeah, well, the TiVo Tornado doesn't have one of those sensors that automatically pauses it if it runs out of filament. And I thought I had more in the spool than I did, and it was like a 6-hour print or something like that.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
And I came back down to check on it, and then I'm like, okay, so it's got 2 hours left. That should be fine. And then went up and fell asleep on the couch and came back down, and I see it's drifting about 2 inches above the print and just going back and forth. And I'm like, oh, that's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It hasn't been the same sense. Replaced the hot end, can't get it to work
really?
Anymore.
Oh, jeez.
At least you didn't burn your house down. That's like the...
Well, there's really very, very low risk of that happening with these.
At least you're alive.
Yeah, right. There are some makes, and I before you started recording, I made reference to the series that I've written for the site wargaming3d.com.
Well, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So you're not just 3D printing; you're also doing some other stuff, which I think is interesting. I was just reading, I've been sitting here reading the Wargaming 3D stuff because I'm intrigued by it. So you're also helping develop a whole community around wargaming and 3D printing. I find it fascinating, and why don't you talk about this? How did you get involved in the Wargaming 3D thing?
Well, it's the fellow who started the site, Michael Earley. He's a New Zealander who lives in the U.S. right now, and he contacted me and asked me. He was setting up the site, and he asked me if I would be interested in writing a sort of like an introductory series on explaining 3D printing, how it can work for gamers, and so I've written 8 chapters now, and I'm going to be continuing to write on it. Basically, is it right for you? If you're interested in it, this is how you can do it. If you're interested in 3D printing, but you're not ready to buy a printer, can you get the prints made for you elsewhere? And I give some options how you can get printing done elsewhere, how printing works, what to avoid with printers that may cause you problems, what to look for, what to look for in files. And as we go back to the data that the printer needs, where to find that if you want a specific model, what to look for, and Pat would know as well, because this is why I touched on Thingiverse, which is a sharing site, and it's a wonderful site. But the problem is you have to be aware that a lot of the stuff on there is Drek. And this is when I first jumped in. I thought, oh, this is great. Look at all these, tanks you're going to print off, and it was just a nightmare because I didn't know what I was doing. I just thought, well, just plug in this information, run off what you call a G code, which is what the printers universally use. Is they take that information, you put it through a program, and you get out what's called a G code, and you load that to your printer. And it prints from it. Well, it's sort of the garbage in, garbage out type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
so I sort of put some sort of cautions of what to look for on the Thingiverse sites, where you can tell if someone's written a file but have never tried to print it. And I sort of equate it to someone who posts a recipe online but has never made it. Like, why would you?
Nobody does that, right?
Sense. But here, it's surprising the number of files that are on there that people have written. And because initially I'd contact them and say, have you tried to print this? Well, they say, no, I don't own a printer yet, but it should work. And I'm thinking, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
And so in one case it was a 14-hour print with an ISU 152, and it was a nightmare. Yeah, it was a complete waste. And subsequently, I actually wrote a file for a ISU 152, and it's an absolute beast. But actually, again, all the files I have on Thingiverse under the name DeweyCat are test printed, and I show pictures on them of the print, so you know that I've printed it. And
sometimes painted.
I printed it and painted. If I printed it, it's probably the 5th or 6th print, because even though it looks fine in your CAD program, and say, oh, that works fine. You print it off and you realize, no, there's something wrong here. So this is too thin. The joint doesn't quite work here, and the rest. So it's the only way. The proof is in the pudding. So you have to do a test print and fine tune it.
And some years too, don't you also post your speeds and feed rates and stuff like that?
Yes,
Did you usually run it?
Yeah,
that's a big thing too.
Yeah.
What? Why is speed, and what's a speed and a feed rate in the context of the conversation?
Well, something like I've done quite a few train pieces as well, and I have those on both Thingiverse and my site on CG Trader, and all my train pieces are for free, but free downloads. But you don't have to worry about like such a fine setting for if you're doing a house or you're doing a road or you're doing a bridge. So you set it for a core setting, so it goes quicker, lays on a thicker layer, but is not as much detail.
So the settings adjust how long it takes to print something, and actually the detail or the fine detail of the print itself.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just nice to know what your settings are, so you can tell how detailed he got with whatever.
Right. So if you guys remember those bunkers that I printed off for. Operation Snafu that we used for the objectives in round 2. So you could actually look at those and you could actually kind of see the layering, because it was terrain. I wasn't that worried about the detail, so I put those at a higher speed and higher feed so that I could get them off the printer faster.
Right. Okay. You needed to get a bunch of them done, so do it quick.
Yeah, I needed to do like 10 of them in like a week and a half or something. So I had to get those that cooking time, for lack of a better term, down to something that I could manage in my time off in the evenings and stuff like that.
Sweet, yeah.
So that's the difference there.
Or Mark, so I should just call you Mark, although I know you better as DeweyCat. So then within
nothing
the past,
but the counter, right?
Effectively the past year, you've gone from actually receiving your first. Do you have multiple 3D printers now?
No, I just have the one. I just run the one. Yeah.
So you got your 3D printer, and you've gone from learning how to use that and going as far as to actually creating 3D print files for usage of for the gaming community, which is amazing to me. Yeah, and Snafu. I know that Pat's has used you as a resource in a lot of different ways, and we appreciate that. It still feels like this really big kind of challenging thing, because I think about all the time it took me to get to the point where I can paint the way that I do now, and the effort that it took into that. I mean, I'm afraid that if I pick up a 3D printer, and I've talked a little bit about this to Pat, that it's almost like it's a whole nother hobby. Do you feel like that's the case, or?
I find it's more of it. It's an extra to the hobby, and it's opened up so much more that I wouldn't have had a chance to do if I didn't have the 3D printer.
Is it more like? So we were just talking about our airbrushes. Is it just like another tool for the hobby.
Exactly. That's a good parallel, because same with the airbrush, and just like the airbrush, sometimes you curse it, and sometimes you curse a printer, but it also does a wonderful job. So yeah, it's a good analogy. Yeah.
All right.
And it's one of those things. It's intimidating because it's sort of unknown. And trust me, I was had a lot of trepidation when I first got it. I thought, what have I got myself into? But the other thing is, there's also an excellent support community online. And this is something that 20 years ago, if it had come out, is because if you get your 3D printer at home and you run into a problem, like, there isn't a 3D printer repair shop around the corner.
No.
But you go online, and you, especially the Prusa support, like the 3D or the Facebook group, you say, I've got this problem, and you send a picture, just a little picture of what's happening, and within 5 minutes you'll have people just sort of like in the bolt action. You don't get the dicks like you do in a lot of social media. You get people that are helpful and say, oh, this is what to look for, and I have the same problem, and you can get the parts online, and it's very much a do-it-yourself type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it isn't, when you work it all through, it isn't. It's all doable, and again, it's frustrating, but the outcome, the results are outstanding, and to the point that, like, initially I was just going to print tanks, but now I'm doing a lot.
So you had some Cruel Seas going too.
Yeah, and
I was just noticing that.
And because I was asked, and I had no interest in it, and then a fellow that's in our local group asked me if I could do a boat for him, or ship, excuse me. And I did one, and then I just got, it was sort of like just curious, and I just started playing around with it, and I did an American, I think it's called an Elco PT boat from scratch the other day, and I decided, well, I'll just play around and see what I can come up with, and it turned out pretty well. So and again, maybe it's just because my wife says if I was 50 years younger, I'd be in Ritalin, so maybe it just keeps me occupied. But it's got a great. It really is interesting, and it's a lot of fun. I don't think, it's one of those things. If you're interested in it, I wouldn't be intimidated by it. It's like, and trust me, and and again, and quite seriously, when I say I have absolutely no engineering background, no technical background, I'm not, and it's just sort of, and the spark for me was what I could do for the gaming, and again, because it's the doing vehicles that just aren't available. I mean, Warlords is sort of strange. It's that they have vehicles in their rule books that they don't offer, and then they sell vehicles or weapon systems that they don't have in their rule books, and it's sort of a so I was sort of like trying to fill out the blanks of the thing and build things that like I did the Soviets have again, because I'm a big Russian player, and bloody Germans get autocannons on everything, so I thought, well, let's look for some autocannons, and so I did up a Russian 37mm anti-aircraft gun. So it's in the book. I don't know where you'd buy one, but now I have one.
Okay.
And that's on Thingiverse. I did the Soviet. I guess maybe they do have a model for the T-60. I don't know, but I did up the T-60 because, again, that has an autocannon, a light. For the Russians, so
in addition to finding the files that you ran through the printer, you've gone so far as actually to begin to create your own files, like you've talked about. How many things do you think you've designed at this point?
From scratch, I've probably done 25, and then there's about 80 that I've taken, started with someone else's, and then have made changes to and made them printable. I go back to how some of them are files that aren't printable, but they have the shape, and then I take that shape and then I work it to make it printable, and I add details such as I'll thicken the tracks, or I'll add the bolts, redo the gun barrels, add the grills.
Make those thicker because they snap too easy.
Yeah, yes, yeah, and do break it down so it prints properly on a filament type printer.
Do you use one of the free? There's many free 3D design softwares out there for it, or do you use something specialized?
No, trust me, I do it absolutely on a free, and it was one of these things because you'll see in Shapeways puts out different on their sort of like they send emails to me and they 5 starter programs and the program I do 95% of my work on is called Tinkercad. And I even say it's a good beginner program, but it's not for creators. Well, actually, it can be. It's frustrating as hell to work with. But once you know its quirks, because it's all mouse driven, it drives you mad because it's all mouse driven. So you can't just enter, okay, I want this shape to be such and such. You have to click, but if you click on your mouse, depending where you are, the shape changes shape. It's cursed, but if you play around with, you can make compound shapes with it. I did there's an Austrian armored car that the Germans use. I think it's called the 88Z or something. It's got angles all over it. But if you take your time with it, and you can actually work with it. So and it's a free program. And the other thing I use is called Mesh Mixer. Mesh Mixer I use for mostly adding texture to it, because especially for terrain features, it'll roughen up your texture. You can round edges and the rest with a little brush on it. But that's mostly a surface thing, right? Mesh Mixer. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But I know that in communication with Pat before, we've talked about programs and to buy a 3D CAD program is like, if you're going to, you'd be costing you hundreds of dollars a month for a subscription. Like it's just not worth it. So so I can do what I can do. I think on a free program is pretty good. So.
Otherwise you can get SolidWorks outright for about $3,500.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was. I looked at the Prusa 3D printer. That's the only one that I was really aware of because it was so highly recommended and had a great reputation. But it's a significant hobby investment on my budget.
It is. Yeah.
And so thinking $3,500 for another piece of software on top of that.
No, and the thing is, you don't have to write your own programs. Like, and again, I'm not just tooting my own horn, but there's other good creators out there in Thingiverse too, and that if you know where to find the right files, you don't have to worry about designing your own, and again, like I have no qualms about if like Pat reached out to me to work on an 88 for him. I have no problem if someone has a legitimate request and it's for gaming as opposed to their own commercial end. I have no problem with taking a crap.
I'm having trouble selling these for $20 a piece. Can you fix it for me?
So, I mean, I'm going to put this in perspective for Dale here because I was actually just digging through your stuff and I was like, oh wait, he's got an LRDG Jeep available for the Brits, with the quad MMGs on it.
Yeah.
And so, I'm like, how's the easiest way to find these files so I can see what you're looking at as well? It's Thingiverse, right?
They tell you I'm on both sides, but the problem is,
I'll send it right now.
The best way to find me is to go to Thingiverse and look for DeweyCAD, and then when you go to DeweyCAD,
that's my default search on Thingiverse.
And you'll see my heading there, and then I have a little, like my sort of rant about license violations, and then I have my CG Trader link there. CG Trader itself has a horrid search engine, so you'll never find me on it. I was just trying here when we're getting started. I realized, Christ, you can't find me here.
Yeah, I just tried to search for you and I couldn't find you. But you did tell me that you had one oddball. I don't remember which one it was now, but you said you had an oddball model out there and it worked.
Well, it was the BA-20, the Soviet.
There you
BA-20.
go. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
That got me down there.
BA-20 on the rabbit car.
All right, Ricky. Rick. So you were talking about the LRDG Jeep.
Yeah. So like that list, you couldn't run like 20 Jeeps. Isn't that like it's insane how many Jeeps you can have in that list? If I remember correctly.
Are you talking about the
Desert
Mark
Rats.
Garden one?
Yes. I think so.
Okay.
Maybe it is Market. Yeah, maybe it was Market Garden.
Market Garden had a whole bunch of, and those are just paratrooper Jeeps.
They have that too, actually. It's our Dewey Cat has that too.
LRDG, we might remember back from the Western Desert, I think they had something in there.
I
do actually happen to have that book with me tonight. Well, hang on. I have that book with me. Which doesn't mean...
I have the LRDG Jeep, as well as the Airborne Jeep on my CT Trader site.
Yeah.
I also have the LRDG trucks, 2 different ones on my Thingiverse site. And I'm going to be loading up an American armored Jeep, both with the twin Zooks and with the MMG, up on CT Trader in the next week or so.
Okay.
And I'm going to actually put a package together, so give a special of all the Jeeps, the Airborne Jeep, the LRDD Jeep, and the armored Jeep, and put it in for $9.99. You'll get the whole shebang, all 3 of them.
Nice.
So you'll be able to print those off. The LRDG Jeep is quite a machine with the multiple weapons you can put on that. Yeah,
so what I was going to get at though is there's some cost associated with it, but so you're buying a $5 file from him, and you're going to print that as many times as you want. If say you want to get 20 in your list, it seems like it might be more economical than actually going and buying 25 Warlord Jeeps at $25 a pop. Like if you're going to do a 20 Jeep list or whatever, I can't remember what the crazy thing we came up with, but
it was something in Market Garden, because the Western Desert doesn't have an LRD Jeep. Okay. Yeah, it was like 8 or something like that.
It seemed like you're saving a significant amount of money. Like that's $200. You just spent $5 in filament, and really it's just about your time. So
I can safely say that just over the last year that I had mine, which was June till whenever it broke before Snafu, I was kind of keeping an estimate of things I did, and it was probably about $600 to $700 worth of terrain and other things that I had printed off that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise, or couldn't have gotten elsewhere as well.
Right.
So I'm going to say it. My first printer has already paid for itself, and I have gotten approval to get a replacement. It's just a question of where I want to go with that replacement and how much I actually
want to
get
something better. Yeah.
And again, when I had it going, not a problem. It was doing everything that it needed to do. It was just fine. I let it down, so to speak.
Okay.
So is it? Yeah, it's worth. Is it worth getting the things you didn't get the last time? Maybe getting the trigger that you said you didn't have on your current one.
The auto pause on the filament out.
All right, then. So, in the interest of transparency, once again, Mark, when you talk about long prints, a 12-hour print, something along, what would that be? Like, is that one of these little bare-bone Jeeps, or is that something more intricate, kind of?
No, that's a good question, and actually, because I'm going to be loading up I'm going to get back to your question just to explain why I'm going to explain it this way. Just before Christmas on my Facebook page, Dewey Cat Productions, I ran a little poll. I said, what vehicles would you guys like to see? And the one that won, surprisingly, was the Churchill tank. So I'm doing up a series of the tank. Churchill. Yeah, that's exactly, because I'm doing up a Churchill tank, and I'm doing it up with multiple turrets, and I'm doing up a crocodile with it as well. And I did the trailer up from scratch. So I'm printing it the other day, and the tracks alone took 10 hours, and then the hull took another 6.
Yeah.
And so it's the longest print I've ever done. I've done the ISU 152, and that was a 12-hour print. An M3 Lee was a 14-hour. But those are multiple parts, and I break them down to multiple parts, almost like a resin kit, because it's a much cleaner print, and it comes out really well. Okay. But that's at a fine setting, and I'd say it's better quality than a lot of resin kits I've got. And absolutely, it's not. I'll be fair with you. It's not the quality of the of a Rubicon kit, but it's also not 87 freaking parts. And it doesn't have a little tiny headlight bezels that you're going to glue to your finger trying to get it stuck in a tiny hole. It's a good solid piece, and so if you've seen a well done 3D print, I think you finish it up well. It's ideally suited for gaming. So anyways, yeah, it will take that long. And again,
here's something really funny since you mentioned the gluing your fingers to it. So I had gotten a Centaur that I 3D printed. Looks awesome. I don't remember if it was one of yours or not. It probably was, just got a thick gun barrel. And I also picked up a Centaur kit a while back from Warlord. And actually the 3D print has more detail than the kit I got from Warlord. In fact, the Warlord one is missing the rear engine exhaust scoop on it.
Yeah.
Well, Not saying, just saying.
Yeah. And again, I go back to, I'm going to only because I think it would be helpful to someone who's considering it, just go back to the start of, is 3D printing for you, or is there a 3D printer in your future? I think is how I started my first article in wargaming3d.com, and just go through there, because chapter by chapter it just sort of walks you through what's involved and the potential pitfalls. But it's something I think if you're into the game, it's going to open up a whole new avenue for you, and you can do those crazy things. Like, I have like drawers full of vehicles that I never would have got the kits for, but now I have them. So if I want to use them, I can. So I have a lot more choice to have to bring to the table.
Sure.
And you can do that crazy thing if you want to. Did like Mad Bob did from Mad Bob Miniatures and bring 47 Renault FTs.
All those Renaults. That's right. I remember that.
You can do that if you want, and like it's.
He made a lot of friends.
But it opens up that to you, and it's the whole thing is, we all spend too much money in this hobby, but it's. You'd be spending money up front.
Well, it sounds like this is
money
a
up front,
really rewarding kind of thing.
Yeah.
What and runs again, it is.
Like I said, you will curse it, but it's just like your airbrush. You curse that. I know I do. I curse mine, but there's times it's going to go south on you. But you'll figure it out and get it working again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, kind of in that same vein of questions, but totally unrelated to bolt action per se, do you, there's like a world of stuff for 3D printing. Do you use your stuff for other than bolt action stuff? I would hope you do. So, there's more to the world than just bolt action. Do you use your printer for other stuff? Yeah, right. I know, right?
Which podcast are you on?
I'm just trying to sell people on the idea of 3D printers.
What other applications have you used it for?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Just minor
printing 3D printer parts?
Well, you can do that, but
right.
Can you print a 3D printer with a 3D printer?
Well, that's how they make them.
Yeah.
If you see the Prusa shop, it's something right out of Terminator, because basically they're printing themselves.
I thought that's what what they did. Okay.
Yeah.
There's like 100 of them on a shelf, isn't there? There's just hundreds of them all stacked up there.
Yeah. Yeah, the machines. But yes, no, I've just done it. Again, go to Thingiverse. You can find anything for around for whatever hobby you have. You'll find that if someone's looked for it, they've printed it. And I've made things like bookmarks for my grandkids and stuff like that, and you get them in different shapes and the rest. And I've made a grill for the dryer vent to stop the friggin' birds from nesting in and stuff like that. Little quirky stuff that that's I can do that rather than try to go to the Home Depot and find something that works. It's how I can print that fix myself. So it's there's. Again, it's one of these things where at the sort of I think it's going to become a much more common home solution. I mean, they've got one on the the International Space Station up there to print.
Oh, really?
Breaks. They do that.
How does that?
They can print. Print up there to repair something that breaks.
I'm intrigued as to how that would work in.
It's not a gravity thing, Rick.
Right.
So what it is, it's actually. It doesn't need it because it's melting it into a bed that's holding it in place, and it's adding layers on top of layers. So it's
like adhering it to the it's adhering it to the previous layer. So okay, that makes sense. I was otherwise I'm that would be really weird.
The filament floating in the air,
just blobs of hot ass plastic floating through the air. That'd be great.
What could go wrong?
Right. I'm sure it's got to be filament based. It couldn't be the resin one because that would not work out there.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Like, that would be a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
I feel like going to the bathroom on the space station would be a problem. Like let alone resin floating around. Yeah. All right.
Well, this took a turn pretty quick.
Sorry, I tend to do that. I tend to throw the grenade and run away. No, it's a really interesting, it's seemingly deep world of stuff to get into. Like I think I'm not to scare anyone. It's really cool. I will say I know for a fact. I feel like you're one of the few people that has a land mattress model. I know that they just don't exist anywhere. But you've made one, and I think that's amazing because that's a great thing to. Nobody has them.
That was the first item I created on my own was a land mattress because again, like I say, I play British, and again the Germans get all the toys and they have it in the book but they don't offer it, so I made one up. Yeah. That's in my CG Trader site.
Yeah, I was just I'm digging through what should I get Pat to print when he gets his stuff fixed? So I'll start buying stuff. No,
buy a printer.
Yeah, that's not on my cards right now. That's too much time that I don't have to paint anyway. So,
that's the other thing is it does print a lot faster than you can paint.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You
absolutely.
should be printing for other people so they can paint it for you. It seems to work for you when you can get stuff and hand it to Jeff and he'll paint it and you can just keep getting stuff going. Although you paint pretty fast yourself.
Well, we got to work on that whole Market Garden 3D print pack that we got. We got Jeff did a Kickstarter a while back, and we got all the bridges from Market Garden and all the little buildings and little towns and stuff through there. Talk about a fun linked scenario that could be for Operation Snafu. Not saying anything.
Yeah, cool.
But it requires an operating 3D printer at this stage.
Or 7 of them. That one's going to take a boatload of.
Yeah, because those are 10, 12-hour prints for the most part.
Yeah,
they're big.
So, that was the other question I had for Mark. Actually, the last question I have for you is what slicer do you run? And for Dale, what does that mean?
What's a slicer?
See.
Okay, when you have your file, and so the files you'll get off of Thingiverse are called an STL, so it's .stl. That's the format.
Or Sterilite.
There's other ones, but it's the most common one. But to read that, the printer needs it broken down into what's called a G code. And the slicer will take that, and what the slicer does is take that information, then it determines when you enter the speed you want to print it at and the layers, like a fine setting or a coarse setting. Or it'll decide where the supports are going to go, because you can't print on air. So sometimes you'll have a part that's overhanging, or a gun barrel, let's say. And so you have to print supports from the base up. Everything's built from the ground up, or the build plate up. So the G code will figure that out. Prusa has its own. I don't care for it, so I went to Cura. And again, it's one of the things like Chevy or Ford, but I really like Cura, and I'm very happy with it. And so what it does is take your STL, it converts it into a G code, and then that's what your printer reads.
Okay, so and is all this information again in that series of articles that you've written?
Absolutely.
Over on 3D?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, we'll make sure to include all of those in our show notes so that everyone can check it out.
Well, thank
I feel like you are one of the guys that is doing the World War II stuff the best. So,
thank you for saying so.
Yeah.
There's others out there, but I appreciate the recognition. Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't make it to our show, and you did. So.
that is us saying we appreciate what you do, and we thank you for
Snafu
joining
approved.
us. Yeah.
Before we end this, I am curious what's in the works moving forward. What can you spoil anything? Can you give us any heads up on?
Well, I've got like I said I've got a whole Churchill package going in, which is going to end up being I think 4 different versions.
Very cool. I think the crocodile sounds really cool. I don't know that Pat would ever run one, but
it's a lot of points, but it can ruin someone's day. I've got because I have a Polish army. I've done a Fiat 261, which is a Polish truck, and I'm just going to rant now because for some reason in the France and the minor power allies, when you run a Polish 261 Fiat and you put a machine gun on it, you lose all passenger capacity. So you pay the 54 points or whatever, and you can't carry a passenger. It doesn't make any sense, and I'm sure it was one of the many editing errors that Warlords is famous for. But anyway, so I've got one of those. That's on my paint table right now too. I've got there's a really neat one. There's a Soviet rocket, and it's in the rules, but no one sells it. And it's called the M8. I think it's called the M8. What it is it's a huge rocket. It's a ground-based rocket. When you look in the rules, it's the only rocket that you're allowed to take a spotter for.
Oh.
So you've got a multi-launcher with a spotter, and this is the one where when you fire the next turn,
wow,
the next turn,
this picture looks
the
amazing.
Crew gets,
Does it
you
look
have
like
to rally because they're so traumatized by the explosion or the launch of the rockets that you have to rally them. They take D3 pins, I think, But I thought, well, this is good. So I dug it up, and I've done this one up from scratch. So it's going to be I just want to pull up the file here and make sure I get the name for it right, because it's what is this? Oh, it's called the M31-4. Excuse me, M31-4. M34. Excuse me, M-30/4. It's a Russian. 300 millimeter rocket launcher. It's a band of 4 rockets, and basically it's a 12-inch warhead on it. So anyway, so I'm doing that up again because I play Soviet. The one problem with a rocket launcher, of course, is that you're exposed. Well, this way you don't have to be exposed. You have a spotter out there who's counts as being down, and a small unit, and you can, if you roll a 6, you can really ruin someone's day. So. I'm going to be having that that's coming up too.
Okay.
And I've got as I mentioned, the armored Jeeps. I have a Battle of the Bulge game coming up, and I'm playing American, and I thought about working on the Jeep, and I've done that one up. It's on my paint table right now too. So those are all coming down the tubes within what we all up on either Thingiverse or CG Trader by the end of this month.
Nice.
Awesome. That's rad.
And again, I always ask people if there's something they're really interested in, let me know, and if I can do it, I'll toss it up. And if it's a derivative, it'll go in Thingiverse for free. And if it's an original creation, then it's going to go on CG Trader, but most it's going to cost just $4.99. So that's just to pay for my test prints. So
sweet.
Yeah, very cool.
I never know what I need until I see it, though.
Yeah.
Can't you just read Easy Army until you find the thing you really want?
Well, I guess I could always use some more 222s since I don't want to put together 4 more Rubicon kits.
Yeah, they're fun, but they look great, but they're a pain in the butt.
I'm looking forward to cursing about that. That's why it got done last.
Cool. All right, well, Mark, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to take a short break, and we'll come back and talk about Battle of France.
Well, thanks so much for inviting me. It's great talking with you all. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, take it easy, Mark.
Good night now.
Very much appreciate it. Thanks, Mark.
Amis, entends-tu le cri noir des corbeaux sur nos plaines? Amis, entends-tu les cris sourds du pays qu'on enchaîne? Oh, et partisans, ouvriers et paysans, à vos armes. Ce soir, l'ennemi connaîtra le prix du sang et des larmes. Montez de la mine, descendez des collines, camarades. Sortez de la paille, les fusils, la mitraille, les grenades. Oui, les tueurs, à la balle et au couteau, les vite. Oui, saboteurs, attention à ton fardeau, dynamite. Nous qui brisons les barreaux des prisons pour nos frères, la haine à nos trousses et la faim qui nous pousse, la misère. Il y a des pays où les gens au crédit font des rêves. Ici nous battus, nous on marche et nous on tue, nous on crève. Ici, chacun sait ce qu'il veut, ce qu'il fait quand il passe. Ami, si tu tombes, un ami sort de l'ombre à ta place. Demain, du sang noir séchera au grand soleil sur les routes. Sifflez, compagnons, dans la nuit, la liberté nous écoute.
All right, welcome back. Hope you like the music, as always. This is going to just be the ongoing joke forever, right?
You should so get a T-shirt that says on the back of it, like Snafu logo on the front and on the back, it's like, I hope you enjoyed the music.
I'm sure someone will be like, yeah, it's getting old, Rick. But anyway, all right, so who were we missing last night? Jeff. Jeff was the last one we were missing. So, Jeff, say hi.
Hi, everybody.
All right, we've got everyone back now. Mark dropped off. Thank you, Mark, for joining us earlier. We appreciate that.
I thought you were going to thank him for dropping off.
No, we appreciate his time. No, just like thanks for not talking anymore. No, Mark did great, and really appreciated the input he had on it.
Looking forward to listening to it.
It's a very insightful. Like,
I'm looking at a 3D printer.
The beauty of Mark is that he's seemingly he's got some time on his hands, and he's able to sit down with you, Pat. Like, you've asked a lot of questions, and he's been more than willing to help. I think that's really amazing, and that might be the whole community. So that's kind of cool.
There's a couple of Facebook pages dedicated to that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of people out there doing this stuff. So
yeah, I'm looking at it fresh too, by the way.
You're going the full now.
I had the Tinker starter and I broke it. Maybe I just get the real one this time.
Yeah, it seems like maybe that's the choice. Although I guess I was reading earlier about even Prussia's having some issues, but
they all have.
It seems like they might have some support. Well, right, it's kind of like a car. Stuff does break. It's kind of the way it works. Anyway, now that all four of us are here, and we kind of we talked a little bit about hobby. Jeff, have you done any hobby for bolt action lately? We'll get you in here real quick.
Is that a joke? Yeah. I can't remember if last time I said I'd already base coated and primed up on my whole Polish army. I can't remember if that was already on a podcast or not.
That was
anyway,
in there.
No,
got that all done.
Was it?
Okay, cool. Got that all done. Picked up a couple vehicles, painted those. Got some bits to build a few more armored cars. And I would be doing more bolt action specific, but my whole friggin' DAC order is still not shipped from NWS. So, not that I didn't order it on Black Friday or anything, but Jesus Christ.
I ordered. My order was a month before the Black Friday order, and I still haven't gotten it. So
yeah. So
oh my God,
I don't know if that's going to come in time for Adepticon or not at this point. So I'm starting to make alternate plans.
Got it.
That puts our Adepticon in jeopardy. There was the drop dead date on having that to get it done and ready.
Well, it's me.
About 2 days.
Well, I would like it to look nice for once, but
all your stuff looks nice.
3 days.
3 days. I'm sorry. Yeah, 3 days. Yeah. You might get to paint some eyes.
I might need to paint some eyes. Yeah, I'm going to call it Valentine's Day. If I don't have it in my hands by then, I'll
1 month from today.
2.
Okay. Yeah, that's still pretty short notice to paint an army.
Yeah, I could do that though, but any more than that, I'm just going to be pissed off with how it looks. So
fair, and that's the frustration with rush painting something is you don't really want to be rush painting it.
Right, it's already going to be rushed at Valentine's Day, but it's going to be super rushed if it's later than that. So
right.
Well, actually, the points are pretty low. So I mean, I put mine together, and I'm like, okay, I've got like 4 squads of 6 guys.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so is your alternative the armored platoon?
Yes, it'll probably be an armored car platoon.
Right. Yeah. Not tanks. Because why would you bring them? You can't bring them any tanks.
Well, you can, but you get like 2, 3.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You don't get a couple.
I got 3 dice in the bag. Watch out for me, baby.
Right.
Well, with the teams, is the with the team tournament, the total is between Jeff and I. So if I say, okay, Jeff, you're going to have 200 points of it, I'm only going to take the 400 or whatever it is. You can do that.
Right. Right.
But then between us, we're still going to have like 8 order dice.
Right.
And we're going to get raffle stuff.
Yeah. You don't want to do that so much. But you want to...
I'd rather be doing the stomping. I find it far more enjoyable.
Agreed.
Yeah. I did like how they were doing that this year, where it was a little bit flexible. So if you wanted to make your tank platoon a little bigger, you could.
Yeah.
You can get that one extra guy, and you can kind of flex points between the two lists. I think that is actually very nice compared to what they've done in previous years.
Just
I really like
split.
that change.
Yeah, versus because what is it? It's 1,000 points together.
I want to say 1,200 or
1,200. So you
something.
each get 600 in the previous iteration. So it's kind of like you have to utilize all your points, and you have to utilize all your points, and then basically, you're not getting anywhere. The armor platoon is like what, maybe 3 vehicles.
If you bring
maybe.
Tanks, yeah.
Like,
well, yeah, because we played a guy that did that last time, Rick. And
Yeah, he had
3
3
Shermans, and
Panzer
that was
IIIs.
it.
oh, we had a 3 Sherman list, and that was Seamus,
Yeah.
I think, and he was really frustrated with
He
a
had 3 dice in
bag,
the bag.
yeah, dice finally got drawn for me, and then we blew up all his stuff, and he was like, and now I don't get to play anymore. We're like, I'm sorry.
I played a guy who had 3 Panzer IIIs, and my artillery strike knocked out 2 of them, and the beginning of turn 2, and he was like, so that just happened.
Right, and that's a real danger playing a low model count list.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you are going to run into some of that. It's not perfect.
Yep.
But I do like now that you're, I need 700 points, so I can flex 100 points out of it. That seems reasonable.
Well, and if I bring an armored car list as opposed to an armored tank list, I can get a few more dice in the bag for fewer points. So
Sure. And you could get probably 10 Panzer ones.
yeah, I'm trying to remember if any Panzer ones is still on the list at that point. I don't think they
Well,
are.
remember, we kind of soft/hard committed to doing Western Desert, so
We
Yeah,
did.
fair.
And we will,
Okay.
and it's fine. So I mean, I will make.
They had plenty of
something work come
222s.
hell or high water. Yeah, they had a
Tiger.
lot of
Just a Tiger. Just one Tiger.
not in Western Desert in early war.
Yeah,
Not till 40s.
You still have to
Really?
follow.
Yeah, 40.
Well, you have to
Yeah,
follow
no,
one
I
of the campaign selectors.
Right. They did have
Or-
Panthers there
selectors,
though,
they call
didn't they?
No Panthers. No,
No.
So they
it's too early for
they
that.
didn't have any of the kitties. Okay.
they had Panzer IVs, which
Right.
get mistaken
Yeah,
for
well.
kitties. But
Not
only
until
for
the kitties were
veteran
made, which is funny. If Western Desert's 42, tigers didn't exist yet.
No.
So how does Tiger Fear exist? That shouldn't exist until later selectors. But anyway, besides the point. So it sounds like you're working
That's
on a Polish
a different
army.
book we already covered.
Exactly.
I think we did that
I
one,
don't
didn't we?
see episode 21. I have no idea what episode. Good luck.
Probably 27.
Yeah,
in search of 26.
Well, I mean, I got to do something in the interim, so I was like, I've got these Polish guys I bought on a really good summer sale. I might as well screw it. I might as well paint them up.
Were those Warlord or are those a different company?
No, that's Crusader
Crusader
miniatures.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was looking at those same models, I think, during the same sale, and I almost pulled the trigger on them.
man, the deal was so good. I got the
It
whole
was.
platoon for like $30.
Yeah, it was dirt cheap.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I really wish I shouldn't. I'm glad I didn't, but I was actually looking at the French while I was there too.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I think, was the French on sale or was it just the Polish?
No, French were too. I have so damn many of them. I
Right,
couldn't
you already
justify-
have most of the Crusader. I know.
I couldn't justify buying more.
Fair.
I mean,
point.
I want to. I can't ever get them in a list.
Right. All right. Well, that sounds like you're kind of got your hands full as far as bolt action stuff going, and I've seen
God,
some
yeah.
other painting you're doing, so
Yep.
you're busy.
And I have my
Were
back
the aliens
blood
part of the
skies
bolt action
done.
stuff, or
Well, in an alternate universe, sure. Like get the K-42, sure, why not? But or K-47, yeah. But
yeah,
but I
episode.
got all the Blood Red Skies planes painted too. I'm running out of shit to paint.
I can send some Blood Red Skies over to your house. I'll airmail it over.
I mean, bring it Thursday. You'll have it the next Thursday done.
I know. Well, unfortunately, I won't be there this Thursday, or would. So now that we've gotten your hobby stuff out of the way, Dale brought up a good point that it's the new year, it's the new us, it's the new Snafu, it's time to talk about what our New Year's hobby resolutions are.
Well, it's the same Snafu. It's just 2019.
Well, yes, we're going to stop saying, hope you like the music. We don't know what it is yet.
Why? That should be our catchphrase.
No, we won't.
No, we won't. Do any of you guys, I personally actually have a resolution this year that is kind of, I don't know if it's lofty, but I'm going to start logging all my paint time and all my hobby time. Basically say, I'm keeping track of the stuff that I have on my paint desk, and I'm basically going to start.
Did your wife ask you to do
track
that?
No, this is something I wanted to do because I've been reading up on a couple guys I follow on Twitter that are doing the same thing, and they're like, it's actually very insightful to see how you use your time or utilize your hobby time, and what you do with it, and how long a model took, and what you got out of it. So it's in a way almost more rewarding for what you were able to put into a model, I guess, is kind of what I was reading or seeing people's reaction to it is like, I put 10 hours in on this model and it looks amazing and I'm super satisfied with it, and it only took me 10 hours, or holy crap, that model took me 100 hours and it looks like poo.
Do you
but
count
at least
the
they're
time
getting
where you're
some
staring off in space going, what in the crap should I do next?
I don't
logging
do that much.
painting.
Yeah.
Well, that's work time.
I'm gonna interject that I've never spent 10 hours on a single model.
I don't know how many hours I've spent on any single model. That's why I'm actually curious to sit down and basically say, this step took, I had 20 models, because most of the time I'm batch painting. So it's like this step took me, I have 20 models and I batch painted them all, and it took me about 5 hours to do. So you divide that out over time, figure that out. So you figure out how many models your infantry take and all that stuff. And I probably have never spent 10 hours on a given model either. But I'm also looking at it for what models am I actually going to have intentions of painting this year, because I know that my time is going to be limited coming up soon. So I kind of want to look at what I'm what do I intend to paint this year, and what would I hope to achieve, even given I'm going to have time constraints. How about you guys? Did you have anything Dale? You seem to have one because you suggested this idea.
Yeah, I do. But I like yours. I might have to try that out to kind of just see how much time I do actually spend hobbying, and not show my wife, because she might be justified when she gets angry at me. No, for me it wasn't going to be a goal per se, because I'm pretty good at this is my goal, but I wanted to play 26 miniature games this year. It doesn't have to be bolt action per se, but last year I spent so much time just kind of hobbying and doing other hobbies that I didn't actually play a lot, and I missed that. So I want to make sure that I try to do 26, and that's not bad. Average of one every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So clarification on that. Miniature, you mean tabletop, not condensed version of the game?
I mean tabletop, like bolt action, or
now 20 minutes. Got it. Check.
Kill Team.
That was a miniature game. We got it.
That. So.
I get you. I like that goal.
Okay. I remember this goal used to exist as a 50-game challenge a couple years ago.
Once every week, and I was doing a lot of tournaments at that time. Yeah, and I think I got to 40.
You got close,
or something like that. So yeah,
that sounded exexhausting.
Yeah, but I was really good at. Well, I mean, you play a lot and you get good at the game, and that's what happens.
Sure,
so.
No, totally true. It definitely rewards itself. But it's just a matter of 50 games. Is you trying to sneak games in 2 times a week? You're or you're trying to sneak 2 games in on a Thursday, whatever. It gets
you
to
sign
be
up
a
for
lot.
every bolt action tournament that you can.
Right? Yeah, exactly. You're not I'm not gonna be picky at all or anything like that. So
right. So
it's a commitment. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a commitment.
Yeah.
So cool. Jeff, Pat, either of you guys have any resolutions this year?
Oh boy.
I'm
related to Warhammer or not Warhammer bolt action.
I'll let Pat have this one first.
Hobby resolution.
Yes. Hobby resolution. How about to get my 3D printer status up and running? Whatever that.
So
exactly.
buy a Prussia?
Whether it's that, or figure out how to get this one fixed, or if go sell some plasma somewhere to buy a new one. I don't know. But I really enjoyed the summer printing that stuff off, and rushing and squeezing houred prints into certain into the weekends and stuff like that, and getting that done, and turning around and painting that train and getting it going. I mean, I want to do that again. That's pretty cool.
Right on, man. Right on.
Sell that one for scrap? I don't
know.
Some of the parts might be usable.
I'm not sure.
Should bronze it.
It might be a case where I get something different and I get that rolling, and a year or so down the road I find out some tricks or how to actually get it up and running, and then I have 2.
Yeah, even better.
Oh, there you go.
That might be the
that's
rate.
even better.
Yeah.
Even better.
Sweet.
I like that goal. It's a great goal. You guys got good goals, man.
I just came up with
it.
It made sense. Mark inspired me.
It's awesome. I don't know what the hell my goal would be because I do a ton of hobby stuff all the time, so it's kind of hard to set goals when you accomplish a lot already.
Fair. What if your goal is to not backslide and do less?
That's a goal.
That's a goal, I guess. Yeah, sure.
To maintain. Okay.
I can maintain. That's a good goal.
Status quo.
Actually, you know what? I got a goal for this year. At some point, God knows when, I will spend 10 hours painting a single miniature and see what I can do.
There you go. That's actually a goal. That is a good goal.
That's a goal.
Good.
How many times will you paint it?
One miniature. I'll try not to strip it and restart, or build so many layers.
Well,
that would count.
One miniature. I'm going to paint it 10 times.
Well, and maybe that's a different challenge in itself. Is like you take one model you get 10 models that are the same or similar, and you paint each of them for an hour. Because I bet you probably don't even spend an hour in each model.
No.
Like there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not suggesting that's a bad thing. I'm just saying is like maybe even just doing 10 models for an hour each might get you more gains at this point. Versus 10 hours might be a stretch on any model. Like I'm not gonna lie, an infantry model would take 10 hours would be insanely bad. Like
you have to find the right model.
Yeah, definitely.
You could try doing that made-up Xenophobe highlight thing too.
Yeah. I got an idea.
Or Xenophobe highlight. Which one is it again?
Xenophobe. Jesus.
Definitely not a Xenophobe.
I'll buy 10 of the exact same model, and I'll spend an hour on one and 2 hours on the second, 3 hours on the third, and we'll just see how much better it gets before I lose returns on time invested.
Okay.
That would be a really interesting experiment. I like that.
That would be. I think I'll do that this year, and we'll see what we end up with.
That's more hours than you think.
Well, it's a ton of hours, but I got nothing but time, man.
Right. No, that's fair. That's actually an interesting. I would love to see how that.
I'd like to see that
out.
too. Actually,
maybe not the same model, but like a 10-man squad.
Right. Something very similar.
Yeah.
Right.
And just see, at what point do I get to where the model looks amazing, and then when do I start losing return on investment? Right. I have no idea on that.
We're going to be talking about the new book, and you seem pretty high on the motorcycles with sidecars, so maybe grab 10 of those.
I've already got 6 painted, man.
We'll strip them and start
I'm not. Jesus Christ, I'm not stripping resin. That'd be way. I would rather just buy 10 new ones than strip resin.
That's quite a gamble, actually.
I'm sure you have 10 Polish Lancers, so use those.
I actually don't have a single Lancer because I'm doing it. I'm doing an armored train list.
Oh, that's right.
Well, don't do 10 armored trains because that would be silly.
That would be amazing, but I don't know what I'd ever do with them. Except put them out as objectives and I could snap them.
It'd be an interesting train yard.
Every table gets an armored train on it. Here you
go. There you go.
It's like the Oprah of trains. You get a train. You get a train.
I talked to Dale about this at one point about if we had train tracks in every board, and all of a sudden the armored train shows up instead of the armored car, like cutting off the board while they're on it. Yeah, you're like, oh shit. Yeah.
And by the way, Jeff will come over and run the train against both of you.
I will make the engine. I will mount it on like a little toy engine underneath it, so it will actually drive itself down the tracks.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, and have it randomly stop wherever.
Yep. Yeah, round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows.
Yep, where she stops is that's where it's at for this game.
That would be hilarious. Like pre-deployment, it just all of a sudden is like, it's in the middle of this table today.
We have to
turn in your table assignments, and then we'll find out where the train is.
Yeah, exactly.
From Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood as it goes up and down and moves back and forth.
What is the trolley's name? Dang it! I know what you're talking about.
Trolley?
Is it just called Trolley? Yeah, it's just called Trolley.
It's the trolley.
Ring, ring, and then just then the song.
Yeah, the little whistle and
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, those are all actually really good goals. I like that. I think it's a good thing to do every year. Set something, at least try and do something with it. So we'll see how it works. I'll try and I'll probably post my log on Facebook whenever I update it. I don't know how. I've just started putting in the models that are on my paint desk now, and basically trying to figure out what else I'm going to add to it, so I have some models on there. So anyway, all right. So let's dig in. I trying to remember the name of this book. Is it The Battle of France?
Campaign Battle of France.
Ding 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 ding.
Yeah, well,
you are correct.
Well, it would help if I had not forgotten it somewhere that I shouldn't have. I don't want to remind Pat again because then I'm a
damn
goofball. Yeah, I know. All right, so we.
I tried to do stuff to help you, and
you really did try to help me. I sometimes I do. I sometimes untie my shoelaces to see how far I can run. Anyway. So let's dive in. How long has this book been out now?
Came out just before Apparition Snafu, so mid-November.
Sounds
okay.
Like early to mid-November, yeah.
Wow, we're a little late on this one, but that's okay.
We've been busy.
This one got a weird release from them.
Warlord we were really busy.
Warlord was really pimping Western Desert.
They were.
And then they weren't pimping this one nearly as hard, so this one kind of just snuck out there.
Yeah.
So
I would agree.
Osprey Publishing had their release date set for late November. That was what was on the Osprey Publishing website. And Warlord apparently opted out of that and released it about 2 weeks early.
Yeah, I had it on pre-order from Warlord, and I got it, and I was like, oh, holy crap, I didn't think this was coming out for a while. So,
yeah, which is, to me, is very interesting in a sense that, like, Western Desert seems like a pretty big thing to, like you said, pimp out. And they didn't do it for very long. They did a lot of it for like Sea Lion and like here's new units, and then they feel like they kind of like blew the load on Western Desert, so to speak, and like everything came out at once, and that was it.
They were doing quarterly releases, and then these like came out 2 months of each other, like bam bam,
back almost, yeah.
So I don't know if one of them got held up in.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I can offer a thesis on this, I think I might know what happened, but they're not that big a company, even though, they have so many game systems, and I think they were grinding hard through the Cruel Seas releases, getting all that stuff together. As well.
Sure.
And it just, I think it swamped them.
Oh, that's probably a distinct possibility, is that, yes.
Yeah,
and it's also...
It's overlapping the audience, so...
Which is, it's also interesting because it's still like they still pre-Black Friday a different campaign book, which I think is an interesting.
Yeah.
Like the I would have
thought. Well, no, just even this one was shortly before Black Friday.
Oh yeah,
right.
Sure.
Like this is right before Thanksgiving time frame, so it was kind of weird timing in my I can't see why they would do this, but yeah, you're right.
They do source them to different writers. And, the follow-up with that could be different as far as going through the editing process. And it could have just been 2 different teams worked at different paces. I don't know.
No, totally. But coming from a marketing background, I would have sat on one of them for a little while. Just, let's get a little bit more of the Western Desert book before we move into another campaign. Because people are, just buying their 8th Army. Not their actual 8th Army, but the British
not the 8th Army.
They might be their 8th Army too, but or they're just buying into the DAC Army, and now you're already like, hey, here's get a French Army or a new Hungarian Army or whatever. We'll get into what's in here. You know what I'm saying? Like it just they've jumping back and forth from 2 campaigns and just didn't give this one a lot of time for anyone to actually get something for it. So I don't know. Those are my only thoughts.
And I mean, we saw previews for this stuff all summer. I mean, we knew it was
That's true.
coming, and the people that are really into Campaign France are super excited. But I tend to agree with you that it just sort of was a lot of foreplay and not much action at the end.
Yeah, and that actually is probably the bigger thing, is that there wasn't a lot to support this either. Like they released the book, but then there wasn't anything really after it. But there's probably some smart person that has a better idea as to why they would do this. Obviously, someone made the decision, and that's, either way, we ended up with a book. So I guess why am I complaining? Who cares? Yeah, yeah, I guess. So let's dive.
Sorry, and it's just the Western Desert's always been more popular amongst wargamers. So,
right, it seems like that's an easy one to like do a lot of. I would feel like you could get a lot more out of it. Release at the beginning of the summer and have a whole summer campaign based around Western Desert would have been easily feasible in my mind. But
agreed.
I don't know. It would have been fun to see if they had done more with it, but following a book right behind it makes it a little bit more difficult to do that because now they obviously have to move on to that book, and now they're going to move on. Like, what's next? Budapest?
I think so. Yeah.
Like there are more coming, so like they're not stopping. Which I'm not complaining about that. It's fun that they're making more stuff. Korea's coming soon too, I think. It's this year sometime.
This year sometime.
I don't think it's till after April. I'm not sure though. Don't quote me.
Right.
On that.
It's in the nearest future. Know. It's like by this year. I know they teased it for 20.
Well, this year just started, so I'm hoping so.
Fair. Yeah. Well, you never know. Like, how long?
By the way, Happy New Year if we haven't said that yet.
Right. Yeah. Mid to late January, but that's the first episode of the year for us.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's how we roll.
So that is how we roll. All right,
which means we've been at this for like 2 years,
which is sort of crazy to think about.
8, close-ish. I think we're at like 19, 20 months. When did we start? May.
I thought it was in.
I feel like
January,
we've had this discussion.
Well, they knew who we were at the first Adepticon 2 years ago. So
that's a fair point. Yeah, so it's been that long. All right. Wow. Holy cow.
Hey,
wow, I'm exhausted already.
There you go.
Me too. Yeah, we're only getting older, Jeff. All right, so let's dig into this book. So,
podcasting is not the fountain of youth. Someone write that down.
Podcast is not the what?
Is not the fountain of youth. Somebody write that down.
I'm going to make a podcast about it.
We can make another podcast about how it ages us, yes.
How podcasting ages you.
So does everything else. Pat, you age me.
I still feel young. You guys are just something else. You're not doing it right.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Too many jokes. Must click mute.
Yeah. I'm biting my tongue right now. Anyway, all right. So let's dive into this book. It's obviously about France. It's obviously early war. What do we got going for us? So it's British Germans. No, French Germans. I mean, I guess
French,
maybe some British,
Germans, British, Italy, all the usual players in Europe.
So the big four, per se. Obviously, no Americans yet.
No, well, not early war.
Well, early war, yeah, not an early war. So it's okay. So where does the book begin? Does it start like I'm looking at your outline and I barely got to look through it before I lost it.
Okay, Jeff, do you want to give a historical?
Phony War.
Do you want to give a historical overview for us?
Sure, I'll put this book in its proper time context. Your book starts in the Phony War, and the Phony War, if anyone doesn't know what it is the time after Germany invades Poland. Great Britain and France declare war on Germany, but they don't really do anything. Yeah. Right? France advances, I think, like 5 miles into Germany, and then they all kind of stop once they're out of artillery.
Is this the part where kind of like Great Britain kind of gives them that, no, don't do that, that's bad? Is that
no, it's just Great Britain.
Or is it a little more than it?
They weren't ready.
They weren't ready. No, they weren't.
No, because they just got done.
France was ready. France was ready. France could have done more. France just didn't want to do more at that point, and so they didn't do more at that point. So they kind of just, this is the part, the Phony War anyways, when we just sort of hang Poland out to dry. And then Poland falls relatively quickly, and we spend the entire winter the French spend the entire winter basically doing nothing, holding serve. So they don't advance, they don't really even fight with the Germans very much. They just sort of sit on the border and on the Maginot Line and kind of, I guess, just hope it all goes away. I don't know.
Okay.
So that's the Phony War, and that's where this book's going to start. And if you want the brief overview for the rest of it, it's going to go all the way through the initial invasion of the Low Countries, and then into France, and then it'll end out, I believe, with Case Red and the final fall of France. So, and taking of the Maginot Line from the back. So, Yeah, it's
so the last scenario covers the birth of the resistance.
Awesome. Yeah.
So this
cool.
is
all right.
For those people who have seen the movie, this does actually have a scenario around Dunkirk.
Right. Okay. This will cover Dunkirk evacuation, and then the 2.5 or 3 weeks after that, when the rest of northern France is invaded and taken over by the Germans until the final French surrender.
Okay, that part didn't make the movie.
No. Nobody really wants to remember that.
Yeah. Right. Well, it doesn't make for a great movie either, quite honestly.
Yeah, to quote somebody, wars
okay, right. But we surrender at the end of the movie is not exactly as exciting as, hey, we got off the beach. We didn't all die in the horrific way we were probably going to.
Right.
So, like, story-wise, makes a difference.
It does.
Yeah. All right. So, were there any, so I see Dunkirk written how was that scenario, since that's a big deal in this whole thing?
Actually, that's, honestly, special? Probably my favorite scenario that I've actually read through in this entire book. That and the one before it. So
I can't imagine that they would spend some time.
Oh, they spent some serious time on Dunkirk scenario. It was very cool. They even went so far as to, in the back of the book, they wrote special rules for actually getting your airplane strikes and stuff like that into, and actually say in the rules, so what are the air campaign rules? Come on, give me your page. Air battles. So the very back of the book, in 115, they actually go through air battle rules, and they do it in kind of an abstract fashion, and they actually say in these rules, this is only set, we only wrote these figures out for the Dunkirk scenario alone. So they came up with 4 pages of special rules just for the Dunkirk scenario, with the dive bombers coming in and all the different attacks, and deal with the loading of the ships, pushing the ships out. They deal with the small merchant ships coming in. Really cool written scenario, but to be perfectly honest, I prefer the one Jeff wrote that we played out about a year ago, before Dunkirk came out. That one is... Actually, you know what? From what they had, it was kind of like we should really check Dreamers for a microphone or some cameras, because it was kind of eerie. It was pretty close to accurate stuff.
Now, was this the scenario we had the 4 docks and we were trying to... Was that the Dunkirk one? Where they were bombarding from... You had a choice of either bombarding or coming in to try and get people off. Is that what it was? It was a good scenario.
Right. The opponents, the attacking force could decide whether to occupy, bombard a dock and basically make everybody just sit tight there and freeze a dock or not. So
that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So they would
I
stop
liked
the
what
transports.
they wrote. I liked what I wrote too.
They're having played what you wrote and not having played what they wrote, so far my preference is for yours. But I think if we played this, I think it'd be really fun too. It sounded really good.
I think this looks really fun. Yeah.
So they had a lot of rules about...
They include the big ships, and they give them points to sink them and stuff like that, and they include the little merchant vessels that came in, or the private vessels that came into the shallows to load people on, and how many people can get on there. And basically it comes down to, so to even consider a win condition, and they have a static number of British troops you can have. It's an exact list of what you have, and you have to get a minimum of 6 of them safely off on these ships to get a tie.
Yep, that sounds right.
Cool. That is cool. I wonder if these rules...
Stairs are really good.
Okay. I was wondering if these rules might lead into some Cruel Seas, Blood Red Sky. Do you have any feel like that maybe this could tie, maybe they were thinking about that when they wrote it?
This is too early for that consideration. But, they very, very abstract the air rules, and basically it just came down to... so each player has a number of... Let's just say, for lack of a better term, chits, because I don't feel like turning to the page. You have this many airstrikes, you have this many flak, how many are you committing, we each roll a dice, determine the result, and see who gets a result. Look at a chart, this is what now happens. So it's very, very abstract. If that makes sense.
I think it would play better, just because I always like improving things, if you just had 2 guys playing a game of Blood Red Skies next to your table.
Well, yeah, obviously.
And every bomber the German player gets through is a bombing run on your Dunkirk game. I think it'd be fun as hell.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, why? Yeah, we could make it happen.
We can easily make that happen.
I have a sneaking suspicion because I think isn't Normandy coming up too? This Normandy book is coming.
There's a big anniversary of Normandy coming up.
Yeah, if I was going to take a wild guess, it would be around June 6th of this coming year.
I suspect,
give or take, say a day.
It's going to be something special, special from Warlord. Then
maybe they'll drop it the night before. Airdrop it to everyone.
Airdrop it.
Everyone gets a special airdrop. That'd be amazing. Not likely, but I was just thinking that maybe there might be a little bit of Cruel Seas, Blood Red Sky overlap in there. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
Honestly, I'd be disappointed if there wasn't.
Yeah.
And we might have to eat those words, but I'm hoping that there is.
Well, no, I can be disappointed and continue to play bolt action, but
True. Good point.
Very true.
Very good point. All right, so Dunkirk. We started with the one that everyone likes,
which is in the middle of the
players
scenarios, by the way.
Yeah.
Is it more than one scenario, or is it several scenarios?
They have 12 scenarios. Dunkirk is one scenario in the book. They have 12 total scenarios.
Okay. So it seems a little lighter on scenarios than previous books.
Well,
what was Western Desert?
That felt like that was a lot.
Yeah, that's 2 years of battling.
Fair. This is 1 month versus that. Okay, fair.
Week, so.
Market Garden was a lot.
Market Garden was 25.
Yeah.
Western Desert was... Hang on. There's a lot of special rules in Western Desert. Holy balls. Was 19. But, so side-by-side comparison, Western Desert is almost 3/8 of an inch thicker. You're talking, Western Desert was 161 pages, and 128 for Battle of France. Take that for whatever you want. And oddly enough, Market Garden, which we had, 25 scenarios, was only 116 pages.
Okay. A little more straightforward. I mean, if you think about it, like how Jeff... Sure. Well, that's a good point, yeah. But if you put it in context, like how Jeff just described it, the Fall of France was, you said a month?
About 6 weeks-ish.
I think you said 6 weeks. Yeah,
6 weeks, and then, Western Desert, you said was 2 years?
Yeah.
So if you divide it out per the time periods that each of these took, this is still a fair number of scenarios. Like, that's not so bad.
Yeah, but you probably just want to highlight the big engagements and those interesting storylines.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and Western Desert's going to need more because there's a lot more asymmetrical warfare in the Western Desert campaign. I mean, there's the LRDG raids on airfields and pickup trucks, and there's, a lot more
open space.
Yes. The battles were more varied and different than traditional battles, whereas the Fall of France is a very quick by military campaign standards, but there's only so many battles you can fight in 6 weeks before. Well, and you're losing that badly. That
and there was one tactic that was never effectively countered.
Right.
So.
Right.
Okay.
That was the hit and fade.
Except they didn't fade. They
that was the Blitzkrieg.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Wrong book.
The Bull Rush.
Battle of France. Straightforward.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. The big defensive wall that they just rolled around, and the French are like, oh crap, that didn't work.
Well, right.
Yeah,
France is playing Mac, and they haven't figured out you got to punch bald bull on the third bounce, right? I mean, they're just getting smashed by the guy.
What was that a reference of?
Are you kidding me? Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Punch
Out.
Oh, okay. All right.
Like, if you know where to punch the guy, you win immediately. But if you don't, he wrecks you.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Bald bull.
Yeah. Yeah, bald bull. So
it's been a long time.
He was bald.
Very,
and he was a
very
bull.
much so.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, yeah. So the other thing I found really interesting about this is that they have a lot of special characters, which it would be nice if Bolt Action ever gave some rules for allowing special characters in, other than just like, hey, sure, why not? They got points, go for it. Like they've got Rommel in the Battle of France, which I forget who I was talking to, but they totally forgot that Rommel made his name in the European market before he went to become the Desert Rat.
That's why he got to become the Desert Rat, exactly.
No, he's not the Desert Rat. Isn't he the Desert Fox?
Desert Fox.
Desert Fox.
You might want to call him the Rat. I was like, wait a minute. Like, yes. The desert rats are the British. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
Someone change this to a foreign language where it's all just desert rodent.
Desert rodent. Desert fox.
Yeah, so they got Rommel. They got. I think I saw Leclerc in here, which is cool, and like Pierre Bullet. I don't know how to say his last name. I apologize to our French listeners. I cannot.
Yeah, there's a bunch of French people. Chef Louis.
We have not said that in a while.
Chef in here. Caporal Chef Louis Brinegajonc. I'm sure that's wrong.
I wish I had the books now.
Wow.
Captain Pierre Boulet.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, that guy's a beast.
Lance Corporal Harry Nicholas. That might be an American. No, that's not. There's too many L's and H's in there. He's British.
If he's got a Harry Nicholas.
British always put extra letters and things. I'm not sure why.
That dude has to have a huge, like, Magnum PI mustache.
Probably.
I hope he does. Like, gotta. What was the name?
So they have at least 4 special characters in there, which is very cool. The stars are very nice. Like I said, at Dunkirk, they got the Sorry, what?
Any interesting rules with those special characters? Well, no. I mean, did anything stick out to you?
What does Rommel? What special rule does Rommel have?
What does Rommel have?
Let's go to the big rat. Fox.
Yes, the desert fox. Yes,
the desert fox rat. So Rommel is treated. So Rommel's a 180 veteran, and he can have up to 2 other men with him. Submachine gun or rifle. If you get the model from the book, he's got a pistol. So whatever. He's treated tough fighter. He's treated as a major. So as far as snap to action and morale bonus. He is an anti-tank specialist. Any anti-tank gun within 6 inches of Rommel may re-roll their rolls to hit when firing against tanks or fully tracked vehicles.
So any anti-tank you have in your army?
Is there an aura?
That he's within 6 inches of. Any anti-tank artillery unit within 6 inches of Rommel.
Reroll their hit to hit roll.
So, like,
if you're snapping to action, why are you not sitting in the middle of an artillery pit?
Right. So you got 1 or 2 88s or an 88 and a
I suppose 88s
next to you, or I guess it's artillery.
So reroll to hit on those because you don't have to reroll to wound very often.
No.
You just you really don't want them to miss, I suppose.
Right. Early war in 88 is going to go through anything. So,
but only if it's shooting at a tracked vehicle.
Fully tracked.
Tank or half track.
Okay.
Tank.
Oh, a half
tank
track
or fully tracked. Tank or fully tracked.
Fully tracked.
Got it. Okay.
There's very few tanks with wheels because they call them armored cars.
It's true,
right? Fair. Okay. I'm how many points?
180.
180.
Yeah, 180.
That's a lot.
The 2 bros with him are free though.
Woo.
Yeah, they are.
And he's still a major, so I mean,
sure, but he's a major sitting on top of an artillery piece. Like you're not really utilizing your major if he's sitting next to your maybe. I guess maybe if you have 2 88s.
Dude,
sure.
Intimidation factor. I've got Rommel on my side. What do you got?
And then you're like, here, let me show you what he does.
And we're early war.
I have no tanks or fully tracked vehicles.
Right. He is still a major, and he still has the German snap to action rule.
Fair.
Yes. So 5.
So, and I'm going to say...
So that's 5 units can snap. Any anti-tank guns with you are +1, are re-rolling to hit. That's pretty good.
What's a regular major cost, Rick?
No, I know. I understand. I understand.
I know you have easy army open. What's the cost?
I'd want my major doing something other than just babysitting artillery piece. You know, that's all I'm saying. Is like, it seems flavorful for him, I guess, but not what I would want to be doing with a major, or 180 points for that matter.
What you're not realizing is he's not just babysitting your artillery piece. He's babysitting your artillery piece, your 2 MMG teams near him, and 2 squads infantry near him, in which case you've got a giant fire base that nobody's going to do anything
to. As long as you don't have to go out and claim objectives. Yeah, you're right. Could be.
Also consider your scenarios. There's a lot of scenarios in here where the Germans have double the points of their opponent.
Well, yeah, then why not bring it?
Right.
So if you can afford to have the extra points, then yeah, I would totally still bring it. Especially if you're bringing
let's jump onto Chef Louis.
Chef Louis, does he cook food?
Well, Caporeal, or Corporal we'd call it, Chef Louis, something I don't want to say again. So he's a 70-point veteran. He's got 2 men with him. So this guy is a light anti-tank gun. He's got gun shield, which you expect, team weapon fixed. He's a resolute defender is his special rule. The gun crew demonstrates a calm resolve in the face of overwhelming odds. They may ignore the effects of having 1 pin marker assigned to them, so any activation unit with only 1 pin marker automatically does it, but once they get 2, it counts as 2. So basically a French dude who just said, "Tassez le fromage," towards the Germans.
Throw the cheese?
Yeah.
He's a good anti-tank gunner. That's pretty tough to pin out. So
sure.
At least he ignores that first pin. That's pretty solid.
That is pretty good. I like that.
So here's the one that just drove me oh my God, how the editor missed this. I just want to beat my head against their own wall. Captain Pierre Billier, however you decided to pronounce that. So this guy's a 314 veteran, and he's in a Char Buin Bis. And so I totally miss what's going on with this. So he's got the 1 turret rule, whatever. So his special rules are exceptional commander. The normal 1-man turret rule stated for the Char Buin Bis description does not apply. This is not necessary to make an order test when issuing advance orders, and the tank is not pinned. He's slow. Mm-hmm. He's armored all around. No modifier. Okay, so we get that. But then he has these skills added to him, which you then have to go back to the Tank Wars book, which is push through, adrenaline rush, again? Strict discipline, and lucky. So the skills are something from Tank Wars.
Oh.
So...
Well, the bro is in a big-ass tank, so...
Sure, but I don't like having to reference other books. Just put the rules in the book.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I went cover to cover, page to page, and they do not reprint these at all. You have to go into the Tank Wars book to get those. Which
I'd find, but there's been rumors for so long. I've literally held off buying a Tank War book because I'm like, I've heard so many rumors about, there's a new Tank Wars coming, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy this book then if there's going to be a new one in the near horizon. But okay, all right.
I snaked a free PDF in some weekend.
You spent $20 on worse things than that.
Fair point. I don't want to reward
like a Lost
the
Battle of
GW
France
model.
Book.
Fair point. Well, I'm hoping it's still at the store, but I'm not holding out any hope. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so interesting special characters, good scenarios, or seemingly varied scenarios with a few that stand out. Anything else going on with this book?
Well, a fair number of new units, yeah.
As I say, there's usually theater selectors in these books too, right? Let's go through the new units. I know, Jeff, you were super excited about some of the French stuff, so
yeah.
As I would be too, because it was pretty rad. But let's start with the British,
especially having.
Is there anything stand out for the British?
Right.
What was that?
What?
Oh, I'm excited because I played French. So
right.
That gets me up.
And you got some pretty cool upgrades in there too. But let's start with the British units. Is there anything British wise that we need to be excited about? Anything?
Well, I'm going to put a pin on that for a second. Well, because the first page in there for new units is actually new Belgian units.
Oh, that's right. There's some Belgian stuff in here, isn't there?
There's only a page of them, but you get some Belgian bros.
I'm pretty sure in the email we just got, there's some new Belgian miniatures, if I'm not mistaken.
Those guys look pretty ace.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie.
So this will be a fun one for Jesse in our club who plays Belgians.
He just spent a bunch of money and time painting the old Belgians.
Yeah.
Well,
but
he might have to upgrade.
Right. So first thing in here is their chasseurs. I'm going to butcher this too. I apologize for the Ardennes. It's the soldiers of the Ardennes for Belgian. I'm just going to translate it because English. It adds some options to the unit that's already in the book. They can ride a motorcycle sidecar for 5 points a unit, so if you're into the motorcycle thing, that's cool. I mean, I don't know if it's a competitive choice, but stylistically, who doesn't like a biker gang? And motorbikes, the squad can use the motorbike rule, which gives you a hell of a lot more mobility anyway. So, that's cool. It adjusts the T-15 light tank with replace. Cost for 48, inexperienced, 60 for regular, and 72 for veteran. I believe that's cheaper. And it's turret-mounted MMG on the tank, which in early war isn't terrible. So, might be a little steep for 60 points, but whatever. Oh, scratch that. 60. They change it, so it's actually more expensive. Never mind. That sucks. Oh, but the weapon goes up to an HMG. Interesting. Okay, HMG. So replace the standard thing with the turret-mounted MMG in those points. Replace it with, the cost goes up 10 points, so 58, 70, 82. But the gun goes from an MMG to an HMG, which is actually super useful early war.
Interesting.
Because you're now killing vehicles with it.
Yeah, plus 1 pen, 3 shots.
Yep. You can scratch the paint on a
and you're getting
Panzer
pins.
I. Yep.
Yeah, you're getting pins too. So.
Yep. And you can add a pintle-mounted automatic rifle on the turret for 5 points. That's kind of fun.
Automatic rifle? Is that like a rifle with 2 shots?
Yeah, that's a automatic rifle is the BAR, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Right. Well, that's solid.
30-inch and 2 shots.
2 shots, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Interesting.
That's not. Yeah, I mean, you said it was pintle mounted.
Pintle, yeah.
Okay.
So you do got to pop your head out to use it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're already in a light tank, so
Sure.
If something hits you that's going to penetrate, it's going to penetrate.
Right. It's more about keeping the. Well, you don't shoot the rifle the turn that you're about to get assaulted by a unit that doesn't have anything.
Yeah, that too.
You're kind of like, I'm just going to hold out and come at me, bro. Okay.
And I have to check the T-15 light tanks rules because I don't have my Battle of France or my Armies of France book right here. I don't know if that's a 7+ or an 8+. If it's 8+, that's really good.
That's really good.
If it's 7+, it's still not bad.
It's 60 points. It makes it almost disposable, but that HMG could be useful.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I've tried to explain to guys that play the United States that HMGs, there's kind of a dearth of those in the game. You have to look to find an HMG anywhere in another army other than the United States.
Right. Which tank was that?
The T-15 light tank. It's Belgian. I'm not sure. That's got to be somebody else's.
I would say I'm not good enough at identifying tanks, but it doesn't. I mean,
and I'm going to struggle
Belgian
with that
tanks.
one because it's Belgian.
Yeah, but it's so it's a 7-up 1-man turret with MMG. Do you say that they got an upgrade for an HMG on that then?
It changes it to an HMG.
Oh, that's solid actually. I mean, I think most people's frustration with HMGs, and this is from my experience, is that they don't want to sacrifice the shots. That's the only downfall to HMGs.
Right, and I get that, but the HMG has a distinct role on the battlefield, especially early war. That's very useful.
Well, hitting 7-up armor stuff is and actually being able to do something is a thing. Well, even you're putting pins on it, you're able to actually do something to it. So I don't know.
Yeah, 3 dice is tough.
That's my problem with HMGs typically, but it is what it is.
But the second edition gave all the other machine guns extra dice, but they just ignored the HMG on that. I think that was kind of a miss, but
a little bit. But
I'm not sure what their thought behind it was.
3.
Honestly, though, I might be showing my lack of knowledge here, but I think most nations, what you would quantify as an HMG, I don't know that very many countries had fast-firing HMGs. I mean, at this point in history, right? I mean, most of them are slower, nobody's got mod use, right?
Glug, glug, glug instead of rat-tat-tat.
Right. Only the United States, to the best of my knowledge, was rolling the M2 50 caliber, which is an actual machine gun spitting out 50 caliber rounds.
But where's the DACA?
Which is why we put them on everything.
Right.
So,
hence why we have a whole bunch of HMGs in our list.
Right.
And I'm sure they still had to be a lower firing rate than a medium machine gun or even a light machine gun. So,
and especially a German one, because the German ones were scary as hell for how much ammo they spit out.
Okay.
Especially in the late war.
And the Vickers too, for that matter. But the Vickers K.
British Special Forces, also anti-aircraft guns. Actually, no, they were mounted aircrafts for the most part.
Right.
Okay.
So anyway, that's the new
now
Belgian
British.
units.
Yeah, Belgian got a little bit of love, but not a lot. Belgian got anything is more impressive than any
acknowledgement is nice.
Right.
New minis, so.
And some new minis, which is really nice. All right, so now we get into the British stuff. Like, is there anything?
Oh yeah.
No? Okay.
Pat, you want to handle British, or would you like me to?
I feel like Pat should handle the British.
I think so too.
Well, I was really excited. So the new British one, the first thing, okay, so they bring in the Pioneer Corps, so we actually get like a unit with a flamethrower.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that you got excited about that, yeah.
That was really cool. This is the first time they actually had, so many other armies out there had a flamethrower that you could put in a unit instead of just like the two-man squad, its own individual, so you could like hide the flamethrower a little bit, aside from, exceptional damage and stuff like that, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's very handy. Okay.
I think almost everybody has that now.
If I remember right, having talked to you about this in the past, though, they still so a lot of those assault engineer squads are like a flamethrower and as many SMGs as you can fit in there. And it felt like the British were a little lackluster on the SMG side of things still, correct?
Yeah, the ones with the most SMGs are like the paratroopers can have up to 5.
Right. So they still are light on the assault or not assault rifles, but the submachine guns. But you got a flamethrower unit that's still a big deal. Like that's
and that's
nice
the Royal Engineers.
Okay.
They also added in military police and auxiliary military pioneers, which is just inexperienced pioneers. They're green, and they don't have the flamethrower.
Yeah,
but you can add up to 5 unarmed men into that one, which basically the bridge builders for the most part.
You don't add those guys. Well, unless the scenario dictates it, I guess.
Right. So they have a special role barricade builders. Battle of, I'm going to mispronounce this, and Jeff saved me on it. Battle of Bologna scenario.
Bologna.
I think that's much better. Thank you. My Bologna has a first name. So if they spend 2 consecutive turns within 1 inch of a building with a down order, and on both turns, a special morale check is made. They can create a new roadblock within 1 inch of any model.
Okay.
So this is inexperienced, like 20 points for 5 dudes to do this. So, and you could add up to 5 unarmed men. So you're basically just adding builders.
Yeah.
Like brick and mortar layers.
Sure. No, but I kind of like that though. Like,
it's Bobby the Builder,
right?
Bobby the Builder, yes.
They're trying to stop people from running into the roads. Like that makes sense. Like,
so they've also got an intelligence section, which is nice. This is you can inexperienced regular or veteran, 5 men, up to 6 men can be added with rifles. 2 men can have their rifles replace submachine guns. If it's a paratrooper section, they must be a veteran. They get intelligence as detailed in intelligence officers in sections and squads, which, by the way, when was the last time we saw intelligence officers?
That was a bulge, right?
Bulge. So they're reincarnating these a little bit. Pretty important.
Operation Snafu, so.
It was very important. So don't be surprised if they get some sort of reincarnation. They got the behind enemy lines. They're tough fighters and stubborn. So again, the behind enemy lines is right? No. This is just base. If they're paratroopers, there's an extra cost to them, and they must be a veteran.
Okay,
interesting.
So intelligence section is nice. They get military police.
Okay. Also, Battle of the Bulge. We saw those.
Yep, we saw those too. So traffic directors. So you don't suffer the -1 for bringing vehicles on. So there's your transports, having a little better luck. New rule, get back in the fight. If a British unit fails an attempt to rally, it can immediately roll a second one if within 6 inches within military police. And they've got motorbikes, which is a lot of fun. Mounted Squadron motorbikes, of course, has the motorbike rule, which is your typical one. You can move and get off them and stuff like that. So.
Very cool.
And then the very fun Royal Section of Engineers we mentioned, and then they've got early war motorcycle sidecar.
Okay.
So they got the recce, turn on a spot. They got the fun rule of questionable firing platform. Which, you know what, firing a machine gun from a... So they have they can upgrade to LMGs, they can upgrade to anti-tank, upgrade to light motors. So actually firing them from sidecars is apparently considered questionable. I don't know why. It seems weird to me.
No, that's only for the mortar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the light mortar.
Because you never want to fire a mortar from anything that's not a heavy base plate.
I'm confused now because I feel like I just got skipped ahead. Is this a British unit?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll put a pin in that. All right.
You'll see a theme here.
Yeah.
So they've got an extra selection. If you take up to 3 motorcycle and sidecar as one selection in each reinforced platoon, a maximum of 1 light motor and 1 anti-tank and rifle may be taken in each reinforced platoon. So it's the 1 for 3 rule.
Mm-hmm.
If you take 1, you can take up to 3.
And you said this is an armored car slot.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
How
Cool.
many points?
So 35 at regular for 1
Solid.
forward facing, and then you do the replacement.
Cool.
You downgrade -10. Replace the LMG with an SMG for -10. Replace the LMG with the anti-tank for +10, and you can take out the LMG for a mortar for free. Hey, free stuff. Neat.
The drive-by SMG is pretty awesome, though. 25 points. You just drive by
25
and spray
points.
guys with a submachine gun.
Or you have 3 of them doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have
75
3
points,
of them,
why not?
Yeah, if you have 3 of them,
It's
that's
3 order
6
dice too,
shots.
right?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's 3
correct.
order dice.
Those are cheap dice. I mean, like if you just downgrade them, that's cheap dice. 25-point dice.
Hey,
pretty
man, you want to
They're
make
good
him
with the
inexperienced?
LMG.
It's 17 points.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Inexperienced?
They just never show up.
Well, you make sure you start with him on the board.
Fair. And
Or you get some military police.
yeah,
Yeah, you get some
You
MPs
get some
directing
on
the
board.
traffic.
Yep.
I do like them with the LMG. Actually, I think the 35 points is it's only 105 points for three
Group of
dice.
3, highly mobile, can lay down some fire, can hold a defensive position. Tactically, very interesting. I kind of poo-pooed this book, but then Jeff pointed these out, and I like them.
I feel like there's some play there. I like my 50-point German one. That's essentially the same thing, but 15 points more expensive.
It's an MMG, though, if I'm not mistaken.
It is an MMG. That is the
German
difference.
And it also can, make
Fine, you win.
every turn it wants to.
Sure, and then these can't.
These have to turn on the spot.
Yeah, it's
Turn
just
spot,
these
okay.
should. Yeah, these should be the same exact thing. So, as far as that goes, I can see it's a 15-point upgrade to get to the MMG because you're right, it is an MMG.
But it's
Which
still...
is 6 shots versus 4.
This is the 3-for-1, though.
You get 3 of these, though.
Yes, you
I
get
can
3
only
of
get
them.
1 of those. I mean,
Interesting, yeah. Cool.
You
I don't
say
know.
we
I
I
like
like
it.
these more.
I like
these
it.
more.
Yeah. I think it is a decent choice. Okay.
So
Anything else?
that's all for the new British ones.
Okay.
No
then,
fancy tanks or anything crazy like that.
right. So Jeff, you want to talk about the new French units? Or
I do.
The old French units,
do.
but
Well, yeah, I do. Okay, so
The new
first
old
things
French
first.
units.
The new old French units. The new old world French units. First thing I like is that in the headquarters section, this makes official the rules for your officer can be mounted on a motorcycle if
Sweet.
he's going to be ruling with a motorcycle gang, or a horse if he's going to be riding with one of those horse gangs. So
those
Does
horse
Dave
gangs,
listen
watch
to
out for
this?
those horse gangs.
yeah,
Does Dave listen
I
to
didn't
this? He might be
I
playing
didn't tell
French.
Dave about this yet
Okay.
because it'll
Yeah.
be all horses.
Yes.
Well, it's all horses
and these
anyway.
cavalry don't suck nearly so much.
as much as the Romanian ones?
Right.
Okay, so I shouldn't do any Romanian cavalry?
Well, you haven't started yet, right?
I haven't done any of the cavalry stuff. No, I don't have any of the models yet.
Well, exactly. See, so you should do French cavalry instead. It's way better.
Well, I already have Romanians on the way, though.
Oh, okay. Well, can't help you there then.
Just maybe not do the horsemen. Just do the second artillery piece and be happy. Or the German tank, get us some other stuff. Yeah, anyway.
It's not bad.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
Anyway,
so
moving on.
Biggest one here is infantry squads and teams. They've got the Dragon Portes and the Chasseur Porte infantry sections. You get to add the optional rules to put them on bikes for 5 points per dude.
On motorcycles, right?
Motorcycles.
Yeah.
Motorcycles and sidecars.
Yeah.
If riding motorcycles and sidecar, one soldier per unit equipped with a light machine gun may upgrade to a medium machine gun for 5 points. That's awesome.
Wait, how does that work if he gets off the motorcycle then, though?
He takes the medium machine gun with him, I assume, because it doesn't say it stays with the bike.
How many LMGs? How many LMGs can you have in a unit? Is it the two? It's two. So you could rock 2 MMGs.
It's one soldier per unit, unfortunately.
Right. So you
could rock an MMG and an LMG.
Right.
For an extra 5 points.
Totally worth it.
That's totally worth it. So that makes that a 25-point upgrade?
Yeah, right? For the unit, yeah. Totally worth it.
That's totally worth it.
Yeah, with the bike.
Jeez, that's incredibly good. Yeah.
Yep.
Incredibly
good.
Can it shoot off the bike?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. They all can shoot off the bike. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not like horsies that suck that you can't shoot that stuff off of.
The rifles...
Yeah, the horses don't like that kind of stuff very much.
Yeah, fair.
I'm not positive the rifles can shoot on the move, but the machine guns can.
Okay.
I have to double check the motorcycle rules.
Okay.
On the move.
It might be a little bit difficult, but I don't know.
But the machine guns, I'm pretty sure can, which is what you'd want to use them for anyway.
Right.
Spray and pray, baby.
Yep. And again, this is an infantry squad on motorcycles. You use these guys to haul ass to a good position.
Right, and then sit down. Yeah.
And sit on it.
Which is a world of difference from just like the bikes or whichever. Is like, the first time you're not on a road, you have to get off. And I mean, these guys can stay on the whole game if they need to.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Yep, these guys are quite solid. So, big fan.
Cool.
The next new unit is one I really like as well, and that's the Dragon Porte's VB group. And the VB is the rifle grenade. So for 120 points, you get bros with rifles and VB launchers.
Which is like a light mortar.
Right.
How many?
Right?
How many of these?
Hold on, I'm trying to figure out because it doesn't actually say. That's a lovely misprint in the book. Is the PDF updated? Because it doesn't say how many guys you get.
Because if they all had BB launchers, that would be...
So officer has depicted on the model, men have rifles.
It doesn't say how many.
Not a damn thing.
That's awesome.
If it's supposed to be an addition for a Dragon Porte squad, it would be 10 guys, although that seems kind of ridiculous.
10 light mortars.
That would be insane.
As detailed on page 14 of the of France and the Allies book. So whatever that entry says is what this is superseding.
Okay.
Well, damn, that might be a whole squad then.
So how many points does it say it is?
120.
120.
So that's
which
12.
would be the right points for
regular dudes.
Well, 10 points for regular dudes.
Yeah,
100
I
points
don't know
for
what the
regular
Porte's
dudes.
upgrade is.
You'd be paying 20 points to give 10 guys. Being 2 points a light
Motor
mortar,
bikes?
that's dirt cheap.
Why would you not take it other than you don't have the models?
Well,
Oh my God, you would do it all. Yeah, these are
You
fantastic.
would do this all day long.
that can't be
We're
right
so
though.
missing
For
something.
yeah, because most units are not always 10. They could be 5 guys, and you have to buy additional guys. But
It could be just for the base cost. You're correct. It
Right.
could be like the base 1 plus 5.
yeah, so you might get 6
Check
guys
your
out
local
of that.
FAQ.
Right.
Yeah,
And
right.
maybe somebody will listen to this and answer it for us because that seemed obviously there's some kind of a mistake there if they're not telling you how many guys you get with that. It can't be just one dude.
Yeah, this is a weird cross-reference, I agree.
Yeah.
If it's 6 bros, I'd still be tempted to do that.
And if
6
it's 10
lights-
bros, I mean, damn.
Well, if it's 10 bros, everyone would take it. But at 6,
It can't be. It's got to be the base. It's got to be the base.
Yeah. But does it give you the
So
option of
Dragon
buying more?
Portes are base NCO plus 4 men. And it doesn't give you option for adding more to it, so it has to be that. So the option is may ride motorbikes for an extra plus 5 man per unit.
Yep.
So in the book, it is Dragon Portes are 50 points for regular for 5 guys. So 120.
How much is a VB launcher in there? Does it tell you?
I mean, it should be I think it's a 20-point upgrade.
VB launcher is a 20-point upgrade, so that would be
That should be.
So that would be 10
150
guys with a VB launcher, and you're paying an extra 5 to put them on motorcycles.
if you want to.
If you want to.
Expensive.
Right. So the math I'm doing is that would be 24 points for 5 models. That seems almost in line. Might be a little bit of a discount still.
Well, no. So it'd be 50. 70 for the VP plus 5 times 5, 25, 95.
I'm doing it from the other side, from what is in the new book. Just dividing it out by 5 and seeing what that number comes to, and that's 24.
Yeah, we think they all have the VB launcher.
Right. Okay.
They don't all have the VB launcher.
How much? So how much are they? They're 10 points each times 5, so that's 50. Right. Plus,
we need to add an accountant to this podcast.
No, we don't. They're boring.
No, they need to take the time to write one extra friggin' sentence in the book.
Plus, again, we go back to the special characters where they just cited the special rules from a different book and just hope you have that book to cross-reference to play them. It's like, why are you doing this? And they haven't done this.
A cock-up.
They haven't done this in previous campaigns, so this is kind of like maybe. It seemed like this was rushed coming out after Western Desert. Maybe this is why it was rushed, to kind of miss some of this stuff. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Well, that would explain why they missed stuff, not why they rushed it. But so yeah, whatever. I'm sure that at some point they'll get an errata out there or something.
This one.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Whatever.
That would be nice.
Yep. Okay, so that's that squad. It has between 5 and 10 VB launchers for a certain amount of points. Next one over, we get an intelligence squad, which is your standard intelligence squad, which is still awesome.
Right, so the French get one now.
Yep. What I'm most excited about was the French engineer section, so now I can get a unit with a flamethrower in it.
Yep.
Let me see about the... We all carry carbines, which counts as rifles. We don't get the SMG option at all.
Okay.
But that's okay. However, we could put them on motorcycles. So you could have your engineering team on motorcycles.
That's kind of nice.
I mean, for mobility, that's great.
Yeah. Get them up the field.
A flamethrower on a motorcycle? Yes, please.
Don't
thank
think
you.
you can shoot the flamethrower from the motorcycle.
I wouldn't think so.
I think that'd be a bad idea.
I don't think I'd want to.
Blowback would be a bitch.
Yeah. Only aim to the side, please.
Please, only go to the left side, not to the driver's side. Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
How about a light, Pierre? Oui.
And done.
Guy in the front cranks it open straight up. Everybody in the back just raises a cigarette and lights it off the column of flame.
I just figured these guys were all wearing asbestos suits.
I don't think they had asbestos yet.
Ceramic?
Or if they did, it didn't cause cancer yet. So
Right.
I feel like we were lining battleships with this stuff already at this point.
I think a lot of our ships were lined in that stuff. So.
Yeah,
could have been.
I don't know. Who the hell knows?
Anyway,
material engineer somewhere.
Right.
Okay, so other than that, it's a pretty standard squad. The options are a little less, but the motorcycles are cool. So
yeah, totally.
And then we got a Navy Matelot squad. I'm not sure how you say that one. Looks like Matelot, but
I think you said it close. I think you were closer.
Yeah, I like the American pronunciation a lot better.
It's fun to butcher, but
right.
As I'm rolling
these
my
guys, what are these guys? These must be French Navy, its own fighting force trained for land. So these must be like ship security guys.
Yeah,
they're not Marines.
British have the same kind of thing, just Navy officers, just they're Navy dudes.
Right, okay. So they're not the Marines, the French Marines. They're just Navy security guys, apparently. They're only inexperienced, 35 points for 5 bros.
Well, they didn't last real long, because the French Navy didn't really...
Well, I was going to say you needed something to do, yeah.
Right, yeah.
You can add 5 more guys, 7 points pop.
These could be like the cooks or the guys with the mop, I don't know.
There you go. Sergeant can have a pistol for a point. Entire squad can have anti-tank grenades or rum-based Molotov cocktails. I like that they specified they're rum-based.
Rum-based? These are definitely the cooks.
Yeah. For 2 points a model.
Interesting.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Note these weapons have the same rule as a normal Molotov cocktail. They just smell nicer.
That's awesome.
Swear to God, that's in the rule.
That's it. Yeah, I saw it. Rick, if you had the book, you could read that part too.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it.
No problem.
We don't need the book to tell us the difference between
rum
Jesus.
and vodka. You can make the entire squad shirkers for minus 3 points a model.
So how many points does that make him? Chief?
20 points for 5 guys.
Jeez.
So that would be, they're normally 4 points a bro.
Wow.
So okay. You're missing one other option on there.
What did I miss?
Battle of...
Well, that's where you get the shirker rule.
Okay.
That's.
Well, I like the flavor text.
I just went to the rule.
I like the flavor text.
I skipped it. During the battle, there were several instances of French sailors fleeing the port in panic or even breaking into storerooms during the confusion to get drunk. It's like a snafu weekend.
Sounds great.
Yep, there you go.
I don't think we normally break into places, though, Mr.
Sometimes we break into other people's liquor.
We haven't had to.
Not yet.
Break into backpacks, even if they're open
Fair.
and offered.
Right.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Okay.
Next one is an interesting one, especially if you really like flavorful units. The Officer Cadet section.
Oh, boy.
40 points for 5 bros or inexperienced rifles. You can add up to 15 men with rifles at 8 points each.
Wow.
If it's a 10-man, they can ride in motorcycle sidecars, whatever. Junior leaders. When the officer cadets mostly have minimal training in leading men under fire, they have been selected on merit for their leadership potential. Mm-hmm. Officer cadet sections always count as having an NCO no matter which model is removed as a casualty. So they're all sergeants.
Shit.
They can ride motorbikes, and they're stubborn.
Wow.
Inexperienced and stubborn, but hey, that makes inexperienced a lot better, actually.
That must be young and dumb.
Yeah. Stubborn's free, too.
Well, and they're not green. They're just inexperienced.
They're just inexperienced.
Well, they're all coming out of the barracks thinking they're in charge, so...
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? Don't know any different.
80, 120... So that's 160 for 20 inexperienced, stubborn guys with rifles.
That's a massive squad.
That's a... Boy, get that off a target. Jesus.
Right.
Yeah. Well, get them there, first of all.
Yeah, well, get them there is a hard part. But once they're there, man,
motorbikes.
Try to move that unit. Oof. Officer Cadet Machine Gun Team. So, same idea. They have a light machine gun. You can upgrade to a medium for 5 points. They are also stubborn. And then, Relic of the Great War. Be it light or medium, the team's weapon is old and poorly maintained, making it prone to jamming. Whether through careful firing or clearing jams, the weapon's rate of fire is reduced, and it fires one less shot. So definitely upgrade to a medium or it's trash.
Right. Sounds like they're firing corks.
I was really hoping you were going to say, and then they opened the Ark, and then they all melted. But that would have been the Western Desert book.
Relic of the Great War.
Yeah.
I think it was closer to 43.
Right, yeah.
But it's a medium machine gun team that's firing down to 4 shots instead of 5 for, 33 points? Inexperienced?
Meh. Okay.
Flavor.
Yeah. Flavor.
Right.
For flavor? Awesome.
Yeah.
Moving on. Armored cars. Early war motorcycle and sidecars. This is going to sound really familiar. 27 experience, 35 regular. They come with a forward-facing LMG. You get 3 for 1 in your selector.
Sounds British.
So 3 for the price for the selection slot of 1. Mm-hmm. You have the option to downgrade 10 points for the SMG, upgrade for 10 points to the anti-tank rifle, or swap it for a light mortar or VB launcher for free.
So verbatim out of the British selector.
Except you only get the light mortar, I get the VB launcher because, rifle grenades.
They're very different. Yeah.
Mechanic-wise, no. Style-wise,
unfortunately,
yes. Yeah. One fires baguettes.
Yeah. Recce, turn on the spot, whatever. Questionable. The sidecar is purely transportation for the light mortar or VB launcher. Attempting to fire it would be bad. Light mortars and VBs need to be removed from the sidecar to fire, and so can only be operated on a fire order. However, you don't got to get out of the thing. You just can only do it from a fire.
You have to stop.
You have to stop.
Whoa,
not great, not
hang
terrible.
On. Let's launch this thing. Hang on, dude. Hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer and watch this.
Hold my wine.
Hold my
wine.
Yes, it's French. Hold my wine.
Right.
The British would say, hold my tea.
We've now offended everyone. One? Yeah.
Yes,
that's what the Americans say.
I think we're through offending everyone.
Hold my Coke.
Yeah.
Hold my Coke. No, hold my beer.
It's Irish, hold my whiskey, wait, we're not in this war.
And the Germans are saying, hold my beer, so...
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, that's the only armored car selection. Tanks, AMR 35. A number were equipped with a heavier Hotchkiss machine gun rather than the standard 7.5 rival gun. So you may replace the medium machine gun with a heavy machine gun for 10 points. So I was just talking about how you get heavy machine guns in a list. That's awesome. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, still one-man turret.
Yeah, it's not a great tank, but there aren't very many
cheap.
Great tanks.
Well,
so.
the French didn't have time to build a lot of good ones.
Well, theoretically, the French tanks were some of the best at the start of the war. They didn't know how to frick to use them.
Or have the time to build them, or the factories, or the territories. It's tough for partisans to build tanks. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but they had more tanks than the Germans did. That's the sad part.
They did, but they were World War I tanks.
A lot of them were pretty shitty, yeah, unfortunately.
But they're very long and very slow.
or very tiny and underarmed and slow.
Yeah, too many jokes to go with that one.
Short and slow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Flipping the page, AMR-35 ZT2. So now we're getting some digits behind it. This one's got a turret-mounted light anti-tank gun with a coaxial medium machine gun. That's solid. 100-point regular, 7+, and it's a one-man turret.
Okay.
That's not terrible for 100 points.
Cheap enough.
It's
for a straight
7 armor, only a light anti-tank with coaxial and a one-man turret.
Early war.
Early war. Yep.
Early war.
Yep, gotcha.
Mid-war, that's garbage. Early war, that's only the third or fourth normal light anti-tank gun in the French early war list.
This is the one that makes the Matilda look good.
Yeah, well, most of our early war tanks are low velocity anti-tank guns or heavy machine guns.
Oh, well, so it's huge.
You get a mobile platform with a light anti-tank gun, huge.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's just the Samoa and the B-1 BIS that have normal light anti-tank guns on a turret. So,
Rick, do you want to cover the new Germany units?
Hey, hold on. I got one more unit in here. I got an AMR-35 ZT3, which is the tank destroyer version. It's a hull-mounted, forward-facing light anti-tank gun with a coaxial machine gun. So it doesn't have the one-man turret rule because it doesn't have a turret. And it costs 5 points more.
Okay.
So
more Reinholders, I guess.
Yeah, that's some bullshit right there. So no turret, costs 5 points more. And you're like, whoa, you don't have the one-man turret in the rule. Yeah, because I don't have a fucking turret. Wow, that's a cock block. Anyway, it looks cool as hell if you ever see a picture of one. So
but you don't have any negatives there either, though. You don't like the one-man.
I do. I don't got a flipping turret.
Well, you don't have to test while making an advance. It says you don't have to test while making an advance.
Right. You don't have to do anything. Yeah. Like you can just act like a normal tank.
But if I want to shoot somebody over to my left, I got to turn the whole friggin' tank.
Welcome to a Stug. Like this is not a new.
I know that, but the Stug's got a bigger fucking gun.
Sure.
It costs more points too.
Right, a lot more.
For the reference, the Stug and the Panzer IV pricing is also borked. So.
Okay.
Just saying.
Well, but. I can see why one would have the turret would have a other rule, but anyway,
a turretless tank should be cheaper because you lose options.
Right, but the other one had a negative rule, so that's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, but it also had a turret. It had a very positive feature, which is a turret.
It's a shitty turret though, one-man turret.
Right,
it's not a turret.
You're getting an upgrade, which would be like 20 points more, but then you're getting it downgraded again because it has the one-man turret rule. Like, you're right, the points are worked, but that's... Well, not the last one, but it doesn't have a turret. I'm talking about the other ones.
Oh, well.
The previous one that he was complaining about, that is 5 points less expensive. It's their weird abstraction of the game.
It looks cool, so if you like it, fucking play it. Cause it looks
Somebody had it in chart somewhere that made sense.
Yep.
Right.
There's some cost mechanic here that I don't like that makes sense to them, so whatever. Let's plow through these German units, because, you know...
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
do it. It'll be hot.
Let's Krieg this shit.
All right. First thing you're going to find: infantry squads and teams. German LMG team. So it's like an MMG team, but it's an LMG.
Okay.
That's nice.
Cheap.
Yeah, I know.
15 points cheaper.
So okay, 35 points.
35 regular. You can add an anti-aircraft mount for 5 points, so it can also be used against airplanes,
which is kind of interesting if you needed to flak for anything.
I don't know why you would, because planes are garbage in this edition.
No, right. So
because the air observers really no one cares about because they miss.
Even the Americans don't bring them.
Right. I kind of like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the light machine gun because it's still 5 dice, like for that price.
Yes.
Yeah, you just get it like in discounted HMG or MMG. Excuse me. That's kind of
is that an infantry selection?
It's
a squad.
It's a squad.
It's a squad, so it's going to take your machine gun.
Yeah, it's just an infantry, but yeah. Okay.
So they got the
Did that get added to the reinforced platoon?
You get one.
Yes, you get one.
But it's 15 points cheaper than the MMG.
That's a real cheap squad selection to fill out a reinforced platoon.
Well, it fits in the machine gun slot.
Save 15 points over the rest of the armies.
So it's not... Okay, so it's your MMG slot, okay.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
Fifth columnists.
Yeah.
They're inexperienced, a leader and a man.
Sounds like a good rule.
It's 2 bros. Wow.
It's not a rule. It's to get 2 dudes. Okay.
Right. All 2 guys. They can have Molotov cocktails for 2 points per model. They forward deploy. They're green. They're tank hunters if you take them, and they're independent operatives. Oh my God, what the hell does that mean? Well, 5th columnists have no contact with the military forces and are attempting to support, are unaware of any planning or tactical considerations, and possibly do not even speak the same language. As a result, the 5th columnists cannot use any national special rules, cannot claim any leadership or activation bonuses from officers, and cannot be activated by the first die drawn from the bag.
You're wasting a lot of time reading a unit that no one is ever going to take.
These guys are on our side? Really?
16 points. 16 points in your list. You don't want to leave it bald, so you just take these guys because you can forward deploy and piss someone off.
I guess.
Right, and paint them as whatever and go, are they yours or are they mine? I don't know.
This is a perfect use for those sea lion figures, like the dude dressed up as a nun or whatever.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
This would be perfect.
Okay, I guess. Okay.
All right, Jeff, you take the next one?
You don't want to have a dude nun in your army?
I'm just not seeing a two-man unit doing anything spectacular.
For 16 points, though, bro.
For 16 points is dice in the bag. That's all you can think of.
I guess, yeah. Next one is Spatruppen.
Yeah.
You got to spit that word out because it's German, I think.
It's most words.
Cost for regular 44 points, 1 NCO and 3 bros. They got rifles. 2 men you can add 2 more guys with rifles for 11 points each, or you can make them veteran too. They have that option. NCO can carry a submachine gun. If it's not increased beyond its initial 4 men, it can be equipped with bicycles for no points. Free bikes.
Free bikes, all right.
Bicycles.
Woohoo!
Bicycle, if taken. Follow the same rule as infantry, except when moving entirely on a road, in which case they double their run to 24. In addition, the first time they receive an order other than run, or if they receive a pin marker, they dismount. That sucks. Bikes suck.
Right.
But they do forward deployment.
They get forward deployment.
If they don't take the bicycles, they can forward deploy.
Well,
so that's 3, 4, 5, what is that? Like 6 bros you can forward deploy?
Because can you make them bigger if you forward deploy, or you can only
maximum
do that
6 bros, yeah. No. 6 bros forward deploy.
Right, only if they're
just for the record, I want to complain. Oh, never mind. They properly labeled it. So there's a picture above this in the book, and it's got a bro with an LMG, and he looks all like on the ground, like use your prone models for this, and it looks cool. It's a picture of the light machine gun team, not this squad.
Oh,
got me all excited.
Sure. That's
right.
I like
one
that
picture
though.
Behind.
For forward deployment, though, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, totally.
1 point. Yeah, that's right.
So Feld Grenadieri.
Jesus Christ, Feld Gendarme.
There's too many letters, too many vowels in that one.
Gendarmerie.
That sounded sexy.
That sounded very French.
You just did a German word in a French accent.
Oh, man.
We hold true at offending all we can, so, yeah.
Now the Germans are offended, great.
So, touchy. I mean, touche.
Yeah, touchy.
So this is 32 guys.
Why is it that and not douche?
I don't know. I got nothing.
It's all the same. Okay. Just checking.
So 32 points for inexperienced 1 guy and 3 men for rifles. You can add up to 6 guys at 8 points each. These are all inexperienced. NCO and up to 3 guys can have submachine guns. The squad can have pistols if you really want them. The squad, if the squad is not increased beyond its limit, like before, you can get motorcycles for 5 points a man.
Boo.
These are MPs. They direct traffic. Get back in the fight. They'll give you the re-rally roll, 6 inches of them, and they have motorbikes if you mount them.
This is so my motorcycle armored car team in my German list is this model, and I just mounted an MMG on the sidecar.
Okay.
Theoretically, these bros are armed with a rifle and an SMG and for the record, a German Shepherd. So that should have been a rule too.
Heck yeah.
The dog on them, but great model. Not sure I'd ever take the unit as it's written.
Sure. Okay.
Flipping. Oh Jesus! Kraftradschützen. I can't. It's fucking German.
That was better.
Jesus.
It sounded great to me.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
As better was in my head.
Somewhere there's a German guy just crying at my pronunciations, and I apologize.
They
I just saw
absolutely
Kraft macaroni and something.
I
don't know.
Rick. because Rick apologizes.
No, I'm not going to apologize for you.
I Rick to you. Anyway, it's a forward-facing rifle submachine gun covering the front arc. What is this? Is this a motorcycle? Doesn't really say. Must be.
Soft skin. So it must
be a motorcycle.
Yep.
Yeah. Or submachine gun. Replace the rifle with an MMG for 15 points.
Oh, so this is a motorcycle.
We've seen this before. Plus 5. Yeah, this looks pretty similar.
Yep,
Turn on the spot.
before.
Don't fire the mortar from it. Extra selection. Oh, you get 4 for 1.
Let's leave it to the Germans to get more. Yeah. 9.
Quattro?
1, 2, 3.
9. We know that one. Thank you.
5,
9.
3.
Uh-oh. Fear.
I don't know.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc.
Yeah, don't you speak some German, Dale? Jesus, you gotta help us here.
I don't have the book.
Okay, fair point. Anyway, so it's a 4 for 1 selector. That's pretty awesome. For 25 points, you add the MMG, that makes it 40 points. 4 times for 4 MMG toting.
There you go, Rick.
Motorcycles. That's pretty friggin' awesome, actually.
That's awesome.
I would drive that all over the floor.
That's an interesting 4 of them. Is you can't ignore that.
No,
because that's 8 guys.
That'll gun down a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
to make the MMG, you got to take them up to 40 points, but still,
it's pretty good.
I think that's great.
Is that Hitler's buzzsaw with those MMGs?
Yep.
So let's talk about the Flobbensack.
Flobsack?
Wow.
I don't. What does that be? Okay, so it's the weird shape.
It's a weird bee.
Isn't that a
Flobbensack?
It's an S.
34.
Flashach.
S.
Flashach 34.
S. It's got an S next to it though. So that would be like 3 S's in a row.
Flausch.
34.
Okay. All right.
It's like the Flopsack.
You know we're going to get... I'm going to get like 4 messages the day after this episode releases from someone in Germany that says, hey, if you want help with pronouncing these words, I'd be more than willing to help you. And I'm just like, nah, it's cool.
Just reply,
we got it.
There's no helping.
It's good. There's no helping. There's no help.
There's no help. If they ever release a book, Campaign Invasion of Poland, Jesus, we're really going to pooch that one. So.
I really hope they do now just because, wow, that would be... You're right.
Just for...
It'll be awful.
Okay, so
all right.
Pat, what's a flopsack?
It's terrible. It's a whopping 6 points inexperienced or 10 points regular. It's got a forward-facing rifle, a submachine gun. It's got a damage value of 3+, and there's up to 6 men. This is terrible. This is transport. So you can upgrade up to 8 men and spend whopping 2 points for it. It's waterborne. You can only move in the water. It's slow and open-topped and may not run. So this is like
what the hell is this thing?
This is Tom Sawyer's Raft.
Yeah, it sounds like an inflatable dinghy with like a flopsack.
Rifles?
It's not that good. This is Tom Sawyer's Raft. This is all it is.
Hang on, I'm trying to Google
it's a flopsack.
I googled flopsack, and you don't want to know what came back.
Not based on research history, not anyway.
I'm sorry
if
you
rubber
just...
dinghy.
I'm not certain of that.
It is a rubber dinghy. It's a frickin' rubber dinghy. They put a machine gun on this? Are they insane?
Yes, clearly.
Oh, submachine gun. Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Slightly better.
It's got one forward-facing rifle or submachine gun.
Yeah, okay.
As modeled.
Yeah, it's literally a rubber raft.
This is 10 points.
An inflatable rubber raft.
Early attempt.
Where are we? France? Okay, sure. Yeah, why not?
Actually, you know what? If you're going to cross the river, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It probably is a good way of doing it.
If you can't take the Pegasus Bridge, you might want to have a couple of these in your hindy sack.
Wait a minute, it's slow.
Which means no run order can be issued.
No. Slow just means it moves
6.
Not what does it
6.
say? Half track, so 6 inches.
6 inches,
it moves, and it can't run. So it only. Why not just call it amphibious? For Christ's sakes, you have a rule that it can only move 6 inches if it's amphibious.
Wait, so maybe it's slow because they're carrying it on land.
Well, because there are
shooting. There's one guy.
You go later on. There are like the strum boats, which can actually have a run order put to them.
Well, right, but just call this amphibious. The amphibious rule already means you can't run across water.
Right.
Well, this has got the waterborne rule, which is dumb.
But that means that it could be used on land, and that would be insane too. So it's only used in the water.
Holy shit! Okay, someone needs to take this in their army and model it as 6 bros or whatever, just carrying the raft on land wherever they go.
Right, and I think the with one guy in the shooting the gun,
shoot the forward facing.
I'm going to totally do this.
It doesn't say you can't use the gun on land, right?
It does not.
That'd be awesome. It's just one dude laying in there
shooting.
Oh,
wait. They only move in areas of deep or shallow water.
Right.
Never mind. Boo.
So, very campaign specific.
Boo. All right, just take all my fun flop sack 34. No wonder you're such a flop sack. All right, screw that. Light
the Stromboat?
Yeah, Sturmbolt 39. Fast assault. Pintle-mounted medium machine gun, so it's an upgrade.
Okay.
Damage,
damage
value
regular.
5+. 5+ damage
points.
Value. It's not even soft skin. It's slightly better than a mule, though.
Well, this is like aluminum.
Yeah.
Or wood. Luminesium.
Aluminum. It's got a powerful outboard, which will propel it at speeds of 30 miles per hour, which isn't reflected in the rules. Except that it's not slow.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Oh, and often armed with a light machine gun on the bow, except the rules give it a pintle-mounted medium machine gun.
And not that, okay.
And not an option for a leg.
Hey, FYI, the Pegasus Bridge board, should that make a reemergence, has 4 of these, 2 for either side, added to it.
That's awesome.
The dinghies?
No. The Stromboat.
Oh, okay.
You sure you don't want to give them flop sacks?
Yeah, I think you should give them some flop sacks, too.
We already bought the Stromboats. There's for some models.
Okay. I was just thinking
maybe the sternboats can tow the flop sacks.
It's like a water train going
downgrade. Down minus 5 points, you have a flub sack behind you. Go.
You can have a flop sack. God.
Oh, man.
All right,
so they also have intelligence officers.
Yeah, everybody has access to this, I think. As well.
Wait a minute. So these guys were important at some point during the war? Are you kidding me?
Wait, so is it intelligence officers or is it an intelligence squad?
Singular officer.
Singular officer.
Because Battle of the Bulge gave the Germans the intelligence squad, not this actual single officer.
Yep.
Actually, we gave them both.
Well, we gave them both.
We gave
them
both.
The Bulge book only gave them to the officer.
Right, it only upgraded
but it's
the
the
officer.
Next entry that's more interesting anyway, so we've talked about intelligence officers.
Yeah,
they're lame.
plenty, yep.
But the war correspondents, now this is cool.
Oh, yeah.
This is weird.
30 points, baby, for inexperienced, 1 NCO, and a cameraman.
Okay.
They have rifles. They can be shirkers for minus 6 points. It's just minus 6 points. I assume you don't get 12 off, you only get 6 off. No military training. They can't claim or contest objectives, man vehicle weapons, or even use the assault special from their pistols. That sucks. Shirkers, Propaganda victory. If the war correspondent survives the action, he can claim a propaganda success if he had direct line of sight to any units, friendly or enemy, for 3 or more consecutive turns. This results in the player being awarded victory points in any scenario that specifically state a propaganda victory is possible in the scenario brief. If this is not specified in the scenario brief, but both players are willing to include propaganda units, the standard reward for a propaganda victory is 1 victory point.
Dude.
I kind of like that.
Hey,
for the record,
Snafu.
Adepticon automatically said this is not going to happen.
Ooh.
Well, we're not Adepticon, are we?
We are now. Snafu can make it.
Only saying in the rules that was specified that there's no points for war correspondent getting propaganda.
Oh no!
I'm not saying we can't do it. I don't like crap out of that stuff.
It's kind of unique. Oh,
I said I was going to paint 10 models this year.
I remember
I'm
that.
going to paint 10 cameramen, so everybody at Snafu can have a cameraman for their regular table list.
Okay.
Well, Operation Snafu, lights, camera, action.
Yeah.
Kind of names itself, doesn't it?
Right.
It does kind of name itself.
Someone's got to have oddball, and then the Hollywood Tiger, and just like Hollywood it up.
Shh! Don't give away my new objective table. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's like the Hollywood Hills.
No, dude, it's going to be that city, and there's going to be a bank at the center, and you got to be the first one to get to the Tiger.
Well, Jeff missed the first part. We were talking to Mark about the fact that we were going to do all of the Market Garden bridges as one big long objective table.
Okay, we're all going to need to get 3D printers then.
So we have different. We're diversifying our possibilities here.
It's just going to be one long table, corner to corner in that room. That's every bridge.
Yeah,
and then and then Hell's Highway between them. And
just don't have those as objectives. Just have that as one zone.
Right, and if you're over on that far corner, you're in Arnhem. If you're on this one, you're in Eindhoven.
Oh my gosh.
I just got wood thinking about that. That's awesome. There aren't rounds. There's just a round. We're just playing. Bring your army and try to survive. Try to survive.
4 hours. We hope to get through a round.
4 hours, my ass. We're doing 8 hours, baby.
Well, taking breaks in there, of course.
Pizza. Well, sure, we have an hour break for pizza.
Yeah, spend 8 hours on your ass. Jesus Christ.
Well, you stand. Yeah, you gotta stand.
Okay.
You thought running around from those objective boards in the center of the table was annoying this year? Wait till you got to run to the other side of Portland.
You got to beg for running around objective boards.
Got an oxygen tank at the end. Everybody just take a hit on the way by.
Just better start your cardio weeks prior to the event.
Right. Start training now. Yeah. Okay.
We need doctor's clearances from all of you. We need stress tests done. So
right. That, we're going to have to pay somebody, a doctor, to be on duty.
Just IVing people with saline just to keep them going. There we go. All right. Well, so that kind of leads right into the theater selectors. Do we have anything more unit-wise? Is there
That's all the new units.
That's all the units. And there's an awesome diversity of theater selectors that just really...
Yep.
I mean, we could do another hour alone on those, which I don't think any of us want to do. Because
we're almost 3 hours in, so...
Yeah.
This episode's getting long, but we might cover this later. I just want to tell you, the selectors in here, fan-frickin-tastic.
Okay.
Yeah, they're really good. They do repeat a lot of the same special rules. I don't think they added any new ones that I haven't seen before.
Okay.
They kind of tweaked some just for the scenarios, but those are all mentioned in the scenarios, so you'll see them then.
Okay.
And then I had mentioned before about the air battles. And the one big thing they do here is that they do a company commander thing, which is like setting up for a campaign, which they recommend do about 5 scenarios, of course, in this book, where basically you take 2 reinforced platoons, and then you have to add a major, a captain, and an HQ section to it. And those are kind of like available to you throughout those, and there's pros and cons between those taking damage and getting upgrades and stuff like that. It's very cool, very interesting. If you're into like doing campaigns and you want to run this book, I definitely recommend going through it. I don't think it's going to value us to go through it all. I mean, buy the book and read it yourself, because this is really good stuff.
Really good, though.
It's really good stuff. I was kind of excited about it, and almost didn't fall asleep to most of it. So,
okay,
which for me is a lot, because usually I fall asleep when I read. So.
Yep. Highly recommend picking up this book.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's more encouraging than I expected everyone to come out of this with. So, all right, so buy it. It's been out for a little while now, hasn't it?
Did we?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I kind of tuned you out there for a second, Pat. Did you talk that it's also in the back got the rules for campaigns?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that was the end where, yeah. They recommend 1 to 5 scenarios.
Yep.
Do it, and they've got orders for, or rules for reinforcing, dealing with your casualties, dealing with people who got killed, dealing with people who ran away, and they really cover all of it, and they do a good job with it. It's very well set out.
That's cool.
And they haven't done this before, this detailed. I mean, they've tried a little bit, but this one they've really specified everything, how you can do it, and keep track of stuff.
2 thumbs up for me. Buy the book.
I like it. I like it a lot. We might be running this club. So
sweet. Okay.
So there you go.
I say we pull the plug. We're
please
pushing 3 hours, and I think we're all getting tired.
Take another hour and talk about flop sacks.
The quality of the rubber, like the, how stiff did it get when it was inflated?
Like,
it depends how cold it was, really.
So. Right.
We're going to make a podcast called 6 Dudes, 1 Gun. I mean, I don't know.
No, I'm out.
Flobsack 34, 6 Dudes, 1 Gun.
I got nothing.
That's the next
snuff films.
Yeah, that's the next snafu.
Oh, God. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
Okay, on that note, Pat, get us out of here.
This is Snafu. Over and out.
Good night, everyone.
Night, guys.
Night, guys.
Good night, guys.
Pride! We'll sing Embracing with You with all 8 lungs going at once. Embrace me, my sweet embraceable you.
tipsy in me. You and you alone. Bring out the gypsy in me. You hear me? I love all the many charms about you. About you.
Who, me?
Above all, I want my arms about you.
Don't be a naughty baby.
Come to Papa, please do. My sweet embraceable you. About you. Above all, I want my arms about you. Don't drag me, don't be a bring down, mama. Get yourself home. My sweet embrace, love you.
Well, normally this is when somebody says something really inflammatory that we shouldn't be putting on the record, and then we put it on. It makes it through edit, and then like everyone hates us for like a week, and
that's what we listen to.